Welcome into the Pride of Detroit POD cast. That is Pride of Detroit just about everywhere on social media. Your favorite social media sites, probably your least favorite social media sites. You can find Pride of Detroit just about everywhere. Specifically, though, if you want to actually watch this podcast, you can always find us over at twitch.tv/, Pride of Detroit. Or if you're more of a YouTube person, youtube.com/, Pride of Detroit over there as well. I am your host, Miko. You can find me at Twitter at the Miko Scott. And today I am joined by two of the best tag team partners I could possibly ask for. First up, we got your senior editor over at Pride of Detroit, Ryan Matthews. That's at Ryan_POD. I actually got it right this week. Ryan, how you doing, my guy?
I'm doing even better that you're roping in professional wrestling references into this, Miko. I mean, A plus, good work. How are
I
you,
mean, when the
man?
OTC, I was like, when the OTC returns on Monday Night Raw, I'm gonna lead into it a little bit, just enough, not enough to annoy, our editor in chief, at Jeremy Reisman. That's at Detroit Online. Jeremy, I know you're not the biggest wrestling fan, but me and Ryan at least get something to bond about over on the podcast every now and again.
I'll allow it during the breaks.
Oh, dude, what happened to not yucking people's yum?
I
Goodness
just said I'll
gracious.
allow it. You're welcome.
You said during the, you know what? We'll get to that at another time. Today we are definitely having a jam-packed show. We are doing our training camp preview with the Lions starting training camp. I believe it is this weekend. Someone kind of correct me if I'm wrong there.
That's right.
Uh,
Sunday.
Okay, Sunday kicking that off today. Tickets went on sale for fans to be able to get their training camp tickets, Jeremy, and it's always a little bit of pandemonium when it comes down to getting those tickets with them being free and you having to wait in a long queue. I personally didn't get tickets, but it's okay. I'm not going to be sour about it like I was last year. I'm at peace with it, but there's still a lot to talk about when it comes down to training camp. When we talk about training camp battles, some of the biggest storylines, a lot to kind of go through today, and so we're going to do that for both the offense and the defense. So Jeremy, why don't we kind of kick things off with you when it comes down to some of the biggest storylines when it comes down to the offense once training camp kicks off?
Yeah, I mean, why not just start at the top? I mean, I feel like I felt this way last year. I feel the same way again this year. I'm very, very interested in to see what Hendon Hooker looks like. I think his range of possibilities goes from high-end backup to, could be off the roster like as soon as next year. I think he's going to make the team this year. I think, there is, I guess, a small chance that he doesn't this year. And I feel like if he were to get waived, he probably would get claimed by a team and would never come back. But, I mean, this is I think a year in which you have to see a lot of like significant development from him. Otherwise, you start questioning the draft pick. You start questioning the future at backup. It
Can
doesn't
I
have
ask
to be
you?
perfect.
Can I ask you
Go.
what that looks like, though?
I mean, it looks like command of the offense. It looks like, the problem he's had in previous training camps is holding onto the ball too long. It seems like the game had not slowed down for him yet. And by the end of training camp last year, he was getting there. It was definitely improved. But this is what you hear about all the time in the NFL. When you get to year two, when you get to year three, is the game slowing down? Everything seems to be processing easier for him, and so that's what I need to see. It doesn't necessarily have to be accuracy. It doesn't have to be he needs at least one touchdown drive per preseason game, anything like that. It's just a matter of looking more comfortable, looking more poised, and getting rid of the ball in a timely fashion.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, and we talked about this last preseason. It's the things that don't come to mind when you watch starting level quarterbacks take control of an offense. It's getting the play in on time, breaking the huddle in the right amount of time to line up and then make adjustments and things like that. And maybe being a little bit smarter with the football. He in terms of when to tuck, when to run, when to
Right.
slide. Yeah, we've touched on that a little bit, but I think there's been enough like signs of progress. I don't think the Teddy Bridgewater stuff, and not the stuff that has been going on lately, but the Teddy Bridgewater signing before, the game against the Washington Commanders last year in the playoffs, Miko. I don't think I view that as a detriment to who they think Hendon Hooker could be long term. I think that was, hey, like right now we have a veteran who can handle this spot. We still believe in Hendon Hooker. So, like, do you still believe in Hendon Hooker?
I think so, and that's kind of how I feel even about the Kyle Allen signing, right? Like it's not really like a challenge to Hendon Hooker. At least I feel like that at this point. Jeremy, to your point, like he's now going into year three. You definitely want to continue to see growth and development so that you at least feel a little bit more confident going into the season to where maybe you don't have to carry three quarterbacks. The Lions probably will because they just like to have that extra security and you don't want to have to go searching for a guy in the event that something goes wrong. But I think going into year three, you are looking for that level of growth and maturity, at least in terms of the mental aspects of it. And to you guys' point, like you want to see that the game has slowed down for him, that he is able to make the proper reads and that he's not forcing things. But at the same time, like I don't really see it as a battle between him and Kyle Allen. I think it's just, you want someone that can continue to push him a little bit just so that there's that threat of a replacement. But I still think, Jeremy, that this is very much like Hendon Hooker being kind of somewhat solidified at QB2, in my opinion.
I think you're right, but I think Kyle Allen can still have value beyond that, right? Like you have a veteran who has been a backup for a long time, knows how a backup should prepare, knows how to, read film and things like that. And so I think it makes sense to have him around, but at the same time, I think, like you said, given where this team's aspirations are at, I'm not sure spending a roster spot on QB3 makes a lot of sense. You release, if you get to the final round of cuts and you release Kyle Allen, I think you try to bring him back on the practice squad just to have that veteran presence in the room.
Yeah, and with Hendon Hooker, we're talking about a guy who's closer to 28 than he is 27 at this point in his career too. So like funny. The advanced age does come into play. Guys, I think real quick for quarterback though, I think the question that stands out bigger to me is that this is obviously the first training camp without Ben Johnson, and we know how important that was to Jared Goff's, redemption arc here in Detroit. So like, is there any part of you that needs to be reassured? Not in necessarily Jared Goff, the player. You've seen that for a couple of years now in Detroit at a high level. But the idea of it's not just Ben Johnson. Like Jared Goff was as big of a piece to building this offense and knows this offense. And is there anything that you need to see in training camp to like reassure you that like, okay, like it wasn't all just Ben Johnson. Like Jared Goff does have a lot to do with this.
Jeremy, I don't know about you, and maybe I'm buying a little bit too much into, a series or a TV series, but like quarterback did a lot of that for me. Season 2 of quarterback did a lot in terms of reassuring my belief that Jared Goff actually does have ownership, does have a lot of influence on this offense. We've heard Dan Campbell say, we've heard Ben Johnson say when he was here that Jared was very heavily influenced, but it's hard to believe that when like the offense is so explosive and it's happening at the clip it was happening. But to get that inside look and to see how much his desire to win and how much like he's on the same page with his coordinator and his head coach does at least give me some comfort that like, hey, going into this training camp, we're really going to see him take command of this offense as they get ready for this upcoming season.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot to that. You see him calling the play right before Ben Johnson calls the exact play because they both understand like this is the time to let it ride, and it worked out in that Texans game. I don't. The question to me here is like, what are we even going to be able to tell? Like, is this offense going to look that much different? And is Jared Goff going to look that different in practice, right? Like, how much are they going to show us during those practices? Now, granted, the media gets to see pretty much everything. I think really all of the questions that are on that side of the ball, big picture questions on the side of the ball, are really more on the coordinator than they are on Jared Goff. Like, I don't know what Jared Goff can show me this summer in the positive or the negative that's going to make me feel any differently about him. And maybe it won't be fair if I'm just like, well, if this isn't working, it's Johnny Morton's fault. It's not Jared Goff's fault. Maybe that's not completely fair, but that is the one big change, right? Like and the question is like, what does that even look like? What can I blame on Johnny Morton if things aren't running well? What does that look like on the field? Is it plays that are ineffective? Is it Jared Goff not playing his best? Is it just like a lack of communication before the snap? Like, we talk about it with Hendon Hooker, but like that's a new thing that Jared Goff is going to have to deal with, is the pre-snap communication with Johnny Morton. So, those are things that hopefully you hammer out during training camp, a little bit during the preseason. I don't really expect Jared Goff to play any in the preseason, but it is something to definitely keep in mind on is your relationship with your quarterback and your offensive coordinator. It's critical.
And I see that, and I'm pretty eye to eye with you guys on almost everything you said. For me personally, it's going to take like the regular season, and there are more questions for John Morton than they are for
Yeah.
Jared Goff, like as a play caller, as maybe even a play designer as well. And I like the idea that they brought somebody back who was so instrumental in building this offense originally. But then my question is it too stagnant? Is it too stale? Are you not putting your own twist on it? I don't think that comes back on Jared Goff. I think that ultimately falls on the shoulders of John Morton. So like while you do get this turnkey offense that is filled with skill position players that'll knock your socks off, you have to be innovative enough to keep evolving. And that's going to be the big test for John Morton. So you can't really tell that in
Yeah.
training camp.
No, and I think that's fair. And I think when you talk about continuing to evolve, I think even when you move over to the running back position, while we know like, running back A, running back B with Jameer and David Montgomery is pretty much solidified, that RB3 spot continues to be like every training camp seems to be a topic of conversation in regards to is this the year that someone is able to dethrone Craig Reynolds as RB3? And when you look at someone like Sione Vaki, who came in last year, was really just trying to learn the position, being fully invested in that position. Do you think at this point in time, like that there's a legitimate camp battle to be had here? And if there's not, Ryan, like, should the Lions really be considering like some other ways of utilizing Sione Vaki so that they can actually get the most out of him? Because carrying four running backs seems a little like if we're talking about carrying three quarterbacks is a little much, carrying four running backs seems just as unnecessary.
Yeah, you've seen the Lions have to tap into RB3 in the past couple of seasons, right? Like when David Montgomery goes down, they got to use Craig Reynolds when they're in Tampa Bay. Um, that position is important. I think for the past couple of years, we've talked about, well, I think they want somebody more in the mold of David Montgomery, who is Craig Reynolds. I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of that type of running back in Sione Vaki too, though, Jeremy. Like I think there is a guy who is unafraid of contact,
Sure.
somebody who's a hard runner. And I think it's also really easy to say, well, they'd rather have a guy who's more in the mold of David Montgomery because they don't make too many in the mold of Jameer Gibbs. Like once once he was made, they kind of break that mold. So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that it's anything as drastic as like a position change. Like it's not like, oh, like he should go back to playing safety. Because I mean, arguably, maybe the Lions do need some help at safety, but you've already kind of made this position
Yeah.
or this decision to go to let's get him comfortable with being a running back. Do you think he has a chance to usurp Craig Reynolds though this summer?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of in that category of a lot of second or third year guys where it's just like, okay, how much did you grow in a year? I'm eager to see it. How much have you learned that running back position? And now, obviously, you have a new coach in that room too. We'll see how that kind of affects things. But I think it's very much a battle between those two players. I do like the things that Vaki brings to the running back position, that physical nature. We saw some clips of it a little bit last year, mostly in the preseason, but he had some like I think what he brings too is very situational. Like he's kind of almost like Theo Riddick in these 2-minute drills sometimes, where like he has the ability to catch the football as well. Maybe not as much shake as Theo, but I think ultimately I think this is a training camp battle that could extend to the regular season. Like we could see things flip in the middle of the season because to me, both of those guys do enough on special teams to warrant a roster spot. I think you do go in with four running backs because one, I think all four of those guys are talented enough to warrant a spot on the 53, but more importantly, they're all going to give you a role on game day. And so if Sione Vaki doesn't win it outright, and it's they don't really announce who our RB3 is, so we might not even really know if he won it or didn't win it. I wouldn't be surprised if he does eventually win it in the middle of the season, like we've seen kind of some changing of the guards in October. Like the Lions are not afraid to carry that competition into the season.
And it's something that I agree with you, Jeremy. Like I wouldn't mind them necessarily carrying Baki in because I think even on a game day situation, he is a nice change of pace. Like it's crazy to think that you have four running backs that offer you something slightly different and
Yeah.
seem to be able to catch defenses off guard whenever one of them has to come in. So I think if you can continue to keep that reserve where all of their running backs are multifaceted. They are really good in the run game, but they're also somewhat talented in the passing game. The degree of how good they are in the passing game obviously varies, right? But I think keeping all four is still a really good way of at least just keeping that competition alive. And like you were saying, um, at the very least, keeping defenses at least somewhat guessing on like who could possibly be available at that RB3's position. But RB3 isn't the only position that's kind of up for grabs, right? We also have to talk about tight end three, which is another position that I feel like every season the last few years we've been like constantly debating about who's tight end three. And once again, we at least get to have Shane Zylstra in the conversation. As somebody that could be that viable candidate, and you also have Kenny Yeboah. There's also undrafted free agent Zach Horton. Do you guys, starting with you, Ryan, do you have like a specific favorite or someone that you think could be the front runner for that position?
For years now, we've become accustomed to Sam Laporta and Brock Wright, and nobody has been able to take that tight end three spot. Like it almost seems like it's Shane Zylstra by default because he's run kind of unopposed. Like I expected so much from James Mitchell, and it didn't come to fruition. Kenny Yeboah has a real shot at this for two reasons. One, to Jeremy's point, if you're buried that deep on the depth chart, it's always what can you do on special teams? Well, he'll play special teams for you. And also, I still think Shane Zylstra is a very much developing tight end. He still seems so much like a wide receiver who's kind of just like moonlighting as a tight end because they really like the guy.
Right.
So
Hmm.
I think if you get a guy who can provide special teams depth, can fill that role, they love physicality, and maybe that'll endear him. But Jeremy, I think that it's finally time that the Lions decide whether or not Shane Zylstra is a tight end or they're going to move on to somebody else.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Zylstra as the tight end three, and I think he probably enters camp as like the presumed favorite, but not by a lot. Like if he's probably like a plus 180, to put it in your terms.
Well, that was very Michael Scott. Explain it to me like I'm five, but thank you.
Thank you. Yeboah is definitely a competition. I mean, he has a significant amount of experience, and I think that's kind of a first, right? Like it feels like the competition for Zylstra in the past has mostly been like these young guys, these developmental guys that we think are eventually down the road. And I would definitely put Zach Horton on that list too. Like I think Zach Horton has like, if I were to kind of throw my dark horse candidate to make the roster, Zach Horton might be that guy primarily because he could be a little bit of a fullback. He's kind of that physically imposing tight end that, isn't going to be a Sam Laporta replacement by any means, but can do some extra things. And if you can be a fullback and be a tight end, you can find some space on special teams for someone that plays like that. So I think it's a three-man race. I still would put Zylstra as the significant favorite, but yeah, I think it's kind of a three-man race here.
I listened to you both talk about Shane Zylstra, and I can't help but feel like he's the tight end version of Tom Kennedy, except like he actually makes the roster every offseason. um, but I kind of agree with Ryan where I think that the Lions do have to kind of make a decision of what do you want out of that tight end three position. I think in years past, it was nice to have that like that movable tight end that could flex out wide and kind of be like a sixth wide receiver out there that's playing in the slot and things like that. But I think under Dan Campbell, like you would like to have another inline tight end that can be multifaceted, that can actually go out there and contribute in the run game. It can actually, maybe line up as fullback or do something like that. So I'm in the same belief that Kenny Yeboah is kind of the guy that I'm keeping an eye on going through training camp as the guy that could possibly dethrone Zane Gilstra and get that tight end three spot. But it is something to kind of keep an eye on as well as some of this rookie class, which specifically when you talk about the offensive side and you start talking about skill players, uh Isaac Teslaw is the guy that I think a lot of people are going to have their eyes fixed on in training camp and just trying to understand exactly how the Lions are going to use him because he's an interesting blend when you talk about his physicality. He's much taller. I think he's about like 6'4", but yet at the same time you look at what he did at Arkansas, primarily played in the slot, Jeremy. So I can see a lot of people being focused on his usage and what the Lions are doing with him and how he's developing as an outside receiver in training camp.
Yeah, I mean, the wide receiver position elsewhere isn't that exciting, right? Like, you're returning your top four guys. Isaac Teslaw is like wide receiver 5 this year and then could be 3 next year. And then you probably have a wide receiver 6 battle going on if the Lions are going to keep 6. But it's hard for me to get hyped about a wide receiver 6 battle, to be quite honest. But Tesla is fascinating, right? Like it was the most interesting draft pick in my opinion, and so I'm very very eager to see what he has in store, what the Lions have in store for him, whether it's on the outside, whether it's in the slot, whether it's a little bit of both, whether he's just like attached to Tim Patrick's hip or whatever. Unfortunately we didn't get to see much of any of it in the spring, so he remains like my guy that I'm probably going to be primarily focused on in week 1 of training camp, because I had some questions about the draft pick, and I still have some questions about the draft pick, and I'm not going to get all my answers right away, but I'm eager to see what they saw in him, and that'll start on Sunday. I'm very very interested to see where he fits into this puzzle.
Ryan,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna just ask you the same question that you asked Jeremy earlier when we were talking about Hendon Hooker. Like, how does Isaac Tesla do that? Like, how does he kind of prove that he's ready for a role in this offense and not, possibly get the Broderick Martin treatment and he's just, inactive on every game day?
Funny enough, I think it harkens back to Jameson Williams, and one of the things that they always harped on with JMO was consistency. And great, you did it today, but you got to do it tomorrow, and you got to stack days. Tesla at wide receiver 5 right now, there really aren't enough days in training camp, I think, to get ahead of the guys that are above him on the depth chart, and that's just how it is, and that's a great place for the Lions to be in. So Tim Patrick is there. You have a great mentor to learn from, and that's the most interesting thing, is where he's lining up during training camp, where he's lining up, and where is he performing best, right? Because it's not as if Isaac Tesla, if he doesn't work out year 1 as an X receiver on the outside, that he all of a sudden becomes a waste of a draft pick, right? Like, there's still room for Isaac Tesla to still blossom if it takes him some time, and also if he is a big slot option, right? It's not the end of the world. Like, I think they still love the football player. I think they're all trying to figure out the fit, and that's what this first summer in the NFL is really for. So it's going to take time.
One thing to keep in mind too is his quarterback training camp is probably mostly going to be Hendon Hooker. Like, he's not going to necessarily have that, first tier top 10 quarterback throwing to him all of training camp. So that could help, that could hurt his development. It could, it's going to impact it, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. Like, if it doesn't look great right away, just remember, like, those two are trying to feel each other out right now. Hendon's still working through a lot of his own issues. So we'll see what that looks like right away. And hopefully, I mean, I'd love to see him get some first team reps, and I imagine he will. If, I don't know, how much does Tim Patrick need that practice in week 5 of training camp? We'll see.
And I also want to hark back to something you were saying, Ryan, about, the JMO approach, where JMO basically just had to prove that he could be consistent week in and week out in training camp to the point where he could start getting those opportunities in the regular season. I wonder how much of that with Tesla, like, it's going to be just finding something that he does very well and just letting that be the thing that he just kind of develops in. And then maybe, again, sprinkling in some other opportunities so that you can possibly use him on game day, so that he can be somebody that allows you to be very versatile with your skill players, so that, we know the Lions like to line up their receivers just about everywhere. I think having a guy that can be a big slot and that does that extremely well could still be a benefit to this Lions offense.
Yeah, I think that thing that Isaac Tesla is going to do really well right out of the box is special teams. So there's your thing to be great at. Go do it.
Absolutely. I think the other thing that I think most people are going to be anticipating, like reading about, wanting to know a great deal of detail about, is this offensive line. And I think we've talked about it a lot this offseason, whether it's because of the retirement of Frank Ragnow, whether it's because of the loss of Kevin Zeitler. There's a lot to be discussed when it comes down to not just the starting group, but also the depth on this offensive line as well. So let's start first with the starting, group. Where do we think Tate Ratledge is actually going to be lining up at training camp? Because I think now that the veterans are going to be there, that's a big thing that the Lions have to figure out, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, we have to make sure he shows up first of all, because of the whole second round pick thing, which, I mean, it's a real thing now. Like, at first it was like people are overreacting to it, but two teams have already reported their rookies, and none of their second round picks have shown up because 30 out of 32 have not signed their rookie deal yet. So that remains, a hurdle here. Now, rookies are all reporting in the next week or so here, which is a pretty firm deadline. Like, I don't think owners and GMs and players even want to push too much further past that deadline. So we'll see if the Lions can get a deal done here. Lions rookies report on Wednesday. I kind of think the soft deadline is going to be that first actual practice. Like, maybe Tate Ratledge isn't in the building for the next 4 or 5 days, and that's not a big deal. But yeah, I mean, when he eventually does show up, I understand that the spring is typically for figuring things out, trying things out. Let's see what it looks like here. Let's see what it looks like there. I'm still convinced that they think Tate Ratledge is their center. And it's simply because it didn't just seem like they were testing it out in the spring. It seemed like it was almost 100% of his snaps were coming at the center position. And so that to me is like, oh no, this isn't us trying this out. This is us getting you as much time as possible, because this is where we're headed. So that's kind of my gut feeling right now. I could very well be wrong, and I kind of hope I am a little bit, because I kind of like Graham at center a little bit better. I kind of like taking the Frank Ragnow route of play guard your rookie season, move to center in your second season. But I don't know, just like the gut feeling I got is that he's going to be at center.
It's the plan, right? Like, that's what you're saying. They showed up and it's like, this is plan A. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll move on from there. I tend to agree. I think because of what we know about what the Lions knew going into the draft, I think it makes a lot more sense that they moved up to get a guy like Tate Ratledge, because they could have potentially identified him as the next center for the Detroit Lions. I'm obviously 100% pro labor, and I'm all for the solidarity that the second round picks are showing in terms of wanting guaranteed contracts. The thing is that when you talk about Tate Ratledge, he did miss at least one game in each of his past 4 seasons. And I'm not saying that he's injury prone or anything. I'm just saying that, I mean, maybe that's part of the calculus for every NFL team, right? As they navigate this situation, is guaranteed money is a quick way to end up like the NBA.
And what I'm really interested in is, like, how far in the second round is that going to last? Because the first ever fully guaranteed contract was signed this offseason, and then the second one was, which is the first and second pick of the second round. The Lions are all the way down at the bottom of the second round. Is it just going to set the precedent now that every second round pick, or is it going to be like, we'll get to about halfway, and then
the top 50 or the
right.
Yeah, right, yeah.
It's
one of those things. Yeah, I was gonna say it's one of those things that when it's like while it's happening, it kind of does, like, this does kind of make sense, because there's a lot of expectation that's placed on second round picks, just as much as you can probably say for first round picks. Like, second round picks are seen as contributors, are seen as starters. And I'm right there with you, Ryan, like standing in solidarity with those players that say, like, hey, yeah, we want guaranteed money because we know we're going into teams where we have designated roles.
Big roles, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see, like, how that kind of develops as training camp kind of rolls out. I feel like the Lions have always handled these types of situations very well, whether publicly or behind closed doors. So I don't expect this to turn into a Cincinnati Bengals situation where you possibly have rumors going out that a player is going to try to go back to college when they can't. But I still think, to your point, Jeremy, it is something to kind of keep your eyes on as training camp kind of develops. With that said, though, I think if you had to look at this starting group, I'm curious, Ryan, how would you set up your ideal starting lineup for the Lions, at least to start training camp? We don't have to look all the way to the start of the season, but if you're going from left to right, how would you like to see the Lions kind of start training camp with this starting O-line group?
I really, if Tate Ratledge is your center, I think I want Graham Glasgow to get back to right guard. Like, I think I want him in that spot. But at the same token, I mean, Christian Mahogany was the guy who came in with, the most experience at Boston College, playing a lot of right guard. I think you kind of acquiesce to the veteran that you can put in the best spot, and you hope that the younger player can develop and fit in there at the left guard spot. I think that's Jeremy, I think that's your ideal. Like, if this works out, if plan A goes accordingly, you have Decker, Mahogany, Ratledge, Graham, and Penei Sewell.
Yeah, I think that makes most sense to me as well. If Frank were still around, maybe it would make sense to put the younger player in between Frank and Penei and just be like, hey, you're going to be okay. keep
You'll be
Graham
all
on the
right.
left. But
Your
but
water wings.
yes, exactly. but but Graham, I mean, he played a lot better on the right. I know he dealt with a lot of injuries last year. There was a lot going on with him that I think is beneath the surface. I still kind of would prefer Tate at right guard and Graham at center, and then Mahogany or whoever wins it on at left. But if the Lions are hell bent on making Ratledge their center, then I say yeah, move Graham to right, Christian Mahogany. Mahogany started one game at both, right? He started, I think, the regular season at left guard, and then he filled in for Zeitler in the playoff game at right guard. So
Yep.
he's already showing a little bit of versatility. I think he repped a lot at left guard last year, so I think he'll be comfortable there, and I think that's probably your best combo.
Yeah, I think if we're talking ideal situation, like what I would feel the most confident in that group, like being able to go in and protect Jared Goff the best, I'm kind of with you, Jeremy, where I would kind of rather see Graham at center, Ratledge at right guard, and then see, Mahogany at left guard, and just see if that group can kind of be the ideal starting lineup for this team once the regular season starts. But even with that said, there's still a lot of depth on this offensive line, and there's still a lot of players that I think are very interesting to discuss when you start talking about depth. Not that you necessarily want to see these players be like your go-to starter on any given week, but I still think there's interesting storylines with each of them. And I don't think there's any better storyline right now, or at least any more intrigue than Giovanni Manu when it comes down to what is he going to be doing in training camp. Ryan, I still think there's a lot of intrigue in this guy that is just a massive human being with so much, at least physical potential to be, a quality, left tackle.
And we heard the rumblings of, are they going to cross train him? Is he going to be a guard? Is he going to be a tackle? Is it going to be, man, this guy has made so much progress in his development. We're just going to try to find a spot to get him some action and get him some work, because that's what he needs more than anything. Is he needs live bullets. He needs reps. He needs opportunities. And I think Jeremy joked about it a few podcasts ago, but it's like you may see Gio play like all game in these preseason games,
Yeah.
and maybe not even come off the field. I want to keep talking about Gio, but I think it's just so fascinating. There's multiple guys on this team. I mean, Colby Sorsdal, like, is he a guard? Is he a tackle? We all kind of assume Miles Frazier is going to be a guard, but he does have tackle experience, and he is a big guy and maybe the arms, but like 6'5", 325. Like, you can play tackle in the NFL at that size if you're good enough technique wise. So where do all these pieces fit? But I think the thing that's most intriguing from a long-term view is definitely Gio, right, Jeremy? Like,
Yeah, no question. I mean, I feel like this offseason I've been
you are the Gio guy.
the Gio Manu hype train. Like I'm very excited about him because of all the positive things that were being said about him at the end of the last season, because of the possibility of him eventually not only becoming OT3, but like legitimately becoming the starting left tackle. That is still very much on the table. I'm not saying it's necessarily likely or unlikely, but it changes so much of the conversation about managing the salary cap, about the future of the offensive line. If that is still what the Lions think he's capable of, with all respect to Taylor Decker, who I remain very confident in his abilities to be a starting left tackle, but you have to make, like we keep talking about, like this team is going to have to make concessions somewhere. And if Giovanni Manu can be the starting left tackle for the final 2 years of his rookie deal, like that's a huge freaking deal. And it's interesting, the guard stuff, because yeah, like Dan Campbell hinted at it at the owners' meetings. I don't believe I saw any of it during spring practices, although I only got to see one practice. But like, let me ask you, either one of you, if he's out there playing both tackle and guard, is that a good sign or is that a bad sign?
I tend to think it's a good sign, right? If the Lions are that committed to trying to get him on the field in either position, I think that shows growth, right? Like I think that was one of the things, again, different side of the football, but when you looked at Iffy, when the Lions were like, "Hey, we're going to start using a third safety more," that wasn't just because they wanted to have a third safety on the field. Like Iffy was just that hard to keep off the field, where they were like, "Hey, we got to find some way of using him." When you look at the offense, they frequently have used a third tackle or a sixth offensive lineman in some capacity as part of their offense. If that guy ends up being Gio, I think that's a great sign for him as a player and for this team going forward, Ryan.
Yeah, it depends on the player. I think with Gio, you lean more so towards, well, this guy's so early in his development. They're maybe just still trying to find where he best sticks. For a guy like Colby Sorsdal, where it's year three,
Right.
and it's
Still
like,
hasn't found a home.
are you at guard at tackle on different, either second, third string? Then it's like, okay, we're just trying to see what can stick.
Right.
So I think it's a little bit different. Fingers crossed, right? Like he's the
Yeah.
lottery ticket. If
Yeah.
Gio is a starting tackle a year from now, and we're having this training camp preview, and we're talking about Gio starting at left tackle, holy
We,
moly! Like the
yeah.
Lions cashed in on one of the biggest lottery tickets you can in the entire league.
Yeah. No, I mean it's their Jordan Mailata pick. Obviously, a lot earlier than Mailata got picked because Mailata was a seventh rounder. But like, it's that betting on the traits that I think that's like the one piece of the puzzle that we haven't quite seen Brad Holmes hit on. Right? It's just like this traits guy where it's just like it's going to take a while to develop. You got to trust me here. There's kind of been two or three of those picks where it's just like, okay, we're waiting, but if he is like, I do wonder if he's doing a little bit of both tackle and guard. To me, that is almost certainly a positive thing. It's like we're going to put more on your plate now. We think you've done well enough that we can put more on your plate. Now, if he's just at guard, that to me might be like flashing symbols. Like it feels like a Colby Sorsel situation where it's like, oh, tackle didn't work. Let's try guard. That I don't want to see.
No, not this
No, and I
offseason.
think definitely not. And I would say, like, I know we spent a lot of talking about a lot of time talking about Geo, but I feel the same way. And maybe I might be alone on this one. I feel the same way about Miles Frazier, though, just probably in a different capacity where it's like if Miles Frazier is showing very well at second team guard, whether it's left or right, like I think that also gives you a lot of confidence because if Tate's going to be taking a lot of snaps at center, Miles Frazier is taking a number of snaps at second team, left or right guard. I think it still gives you that same level of confidence for the future of this offensive line of like, hey, the Lions have a lot of young players that they'll be able to retool this offensive line if they need to and maybe replace some of those veteran players with young up and coming talent that shows a lot of different traits, Ryan.
Something that you just said is really interesting and kind of factors into this discussion about cross training. I think that if Tate Ratledge is taking snaps on the first team center, I would be kind of surprised if he was taking second team reps at guard, right? It seems like we want you to be the center. You gotta you gotta not only learn how to kick, if I keep on with these pool and swimming analogies, but you gotta learn how to kick and you gotta learn how to like tread water and you got so much on your plate there. I don't want to get freaked out by okay, now I have another position I need to learn and I'm a rookie in the NFL and I'm on the first team, center. What do you have we seen somebody like that yet, Jeremy, though? Like in this regime, I'm trying to kind of rack my brain where it's like, well, you have like an opportunity to play at another position, but you're a starter here, but
Yeah.
maybe we're gonna put you in a different spot elsewhere. I
No one comes to mind, and I'm not sure if that would be the smart thing to do either. Because like one thing that I think goes unsaid, like there's enough questions about the starting five, but there's even more about the depth, right? Like if you're starting a rookie and a second year sixth round pick, like you got to make sure those guys are backed up with some veterans or some guys that you can trust. And so that's where I think the conversation turns to some of the other guys that we briefly mentioned, your Natane Mutis, your Coyote Awashikas, Nice, Iguakin even, these are guys that at least have been in the system a couple of years.
and
There's a
Dan
lot of
Campbell
questions.
shout outs.
Yeah, right. And I mean, one thing that it just the retirement of Frank Ragnow changes so much because it looked like the lines were not only set with the starters, but it's like, okay, wow, like there might not be room for Graham Glasgow in the starting lineup. That's a great sixth offensive lineman to have to fill in any of the interior spots. Now you don't have that versatile chess piece as your fourth interior offensive lineman at all.
Now he might need to be your starting center.
Yeah. It's a tough situation.
You know what isn't a tough situation? Choosing whether or not you want to buy Righteous Felon beef jerky. Because I think that's one of the easiest decisions you could possibly make for someone, especially someone like me who's like trying to find creative ways to get protein into my diet. Righteous Felon jerky is absolutely the go-to place for quality beef jerky. And the Pride of Detroit podcast is brought to you by Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. It's the jerky that fuels the Pride of Detroit POD cast. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein. Let me tell you, that's a lot of protein right there. And each stick has 8 grams. Trust me, if it's good enough for the Lions, it's going to be good enough for you too. Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania. They use locally sourced, all natural Black Angus beef and prides itself on superior quality, revolutionary branding, and unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. Ryan, tell the people about some good jerky that they can get over at Righteous Felon.
Uh, Marilyn Monroe, Foul Capone, Soul Survivor, Jeremy. I mean,
You
the
can't
list
go
goes
wrong.
on and on.
They got a bourbon flavor. You got
Bourbon
spicy
Franklin?
flavors. Bourbon Franklin.
I like that.
Like the spicy stuff is also good. And like what I like about Righteous Felon is it's not like commercial spicy where it's just like we're just gonna tame it down because we know people can't actually handle spicy. There's some actual kick to some of their jerky, and so if you're
Darth
an actual
garlic.
spicy, yeah. Oh, Darth garlic's great.
And I think the best thing about that, even if you are getting the spice, you don't got to worry about it burning your wallet because if you go to righteousfelon.com and use the promo code POD20 at checkout, you get 20% off your order. That's a
Yes.
good amount of savings right there.
Limited
The code
time
again.
with the 20% off. You got to get it in now before the start of the season.
Ooh, that means you guys only have a couple weeks, right? You might want to start getting on that right now. So again, that promo code is POD20 at righteousfelon.com. When we come back to the Pride of Detroit POD cast, we're going to be talking defense and all of the different storylines, camp battles that are going to be taking place there. So you definitely don't want to miss out on that conversation. So we will see you guys in the second segment.
All right. We are on break.
Do you know something that's actually spicy that I had today?
What's that?
What's that?
I'm sorry that I'm already touching this part of the bingo card, but I had the spicy McMuffin.
Really?
I saw it on the app. I'm like, what is it? What is this spicy McMuffin? And I clicked on it. It's just a McMuffin with like a spicy sauce on it. I'm like, I have hot sauce at home. I'm not paying an extra 50 cents or whatever it is for your gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, I was intrigued, so I was just like, I want to know how hot it is.
Yeah,
It was spicy.
it was.
It was legit spicy.
So the thing that's crazy about that is like if I'm gonna have anything spicy with my breakfast, I prefer it to be like chicken based. Like I don't know if I want like spicy eggs. Like I'm not a hot sauce on my eggs type of person.
Ooh, I love some Cholula on my eggs.
Miko, that might be
See,
your first big L of the podcast. I'm not
That
gonna
is
lie.
that is a swing and a miss.
Now let me hold on. Now let me preface this. That does change if I'm like having like huevos rancheros or if I'm having something
Okay.
that's like a little bit more of like a Mexican
like a
type of,
burrito, like a breakfast
Latin-
burrito. You'll throw some hot sauce
Yeah,
on there.
like yeah, I'll take some spice with that. But if we're just talking like a McMuffin, nah.
Well, that is weird to me a little bit. But I might
can understand.
like, over easy eggs. You don't do ketchup on eggs, right?
Oh God, no.
Okay. I just need to make sure we were all in the clear there. Oh no, Ryan, what's happening over there, buddy?
No. Say it ain't so,
I
Ryan.
mean, it's a change of pace every once in a while. Like it doesn't hurt. I have an excuse. I have a toddler who loves
Children.
ketchup and eggs.
I think that might be like the whitest thing I've ever heard you say on this podcast.
I appreciate it. And just to be clear, like I can handle spicy things. So like that was my thought through the McDonald's drive-through was like, is this white people spicy or is it like legit spicy? And I quickly found out it was legit spicy, and I only had hot coffee, so I had nothing to combat it. So I just like choked the whole thing down.
Speaking of spicy though, I did try the spicy snack wrap. That was good. That was actually like it's a good spice, like not like overpowering. I think it's like the same spice they put on their spicy McCrispy sandwich or whatever.
Okay.
It's probably the same that they put on the McGriddle or whatever, the McMuffin.
No. Nope.
No,
Nope.
it's not the same.
Nope. I don't know. I'm just trying to keep my reputation intact as somebody who can handle spicy things. So shut up and read the alerts.
I was about to go on a rant on the snack wrap, and you know what? Don't want to yuck anyone's yum.
Attaboy, look at you.
I had to just go down memory lane to see if it was like
That's
as
fine.
good as I remember.
Yeah,
And I will say for $2.99, for it to basically be the exact same snack wrap, like y'all could have threw pickles and tomato on there at the very least.
that's
to, like,
that's what I'm
jazz
saying.
it up.
It's just like such a basic sandwich that like I'm by no means a good cook. I can make a snack wrap just as good as that at home.
Oh,
Like
sure.
all you need to do is like you don't even need to do anything. You need to buy a tortilla. You need to buy a frozen breaded chicken tender that you can throw in an air fryer, and you need shredded cheese.
I
Boom,
will say the
I
new
saved you
crispy tenders
$1.50.
are better. I think the new
Yeah.
tenders are better than the old tenders, so I think that's what makes this new snack wrap better. But I will say, and again, I don't know if this might be a hot take or not, McDonald's has the worst ranch ever.
It's not. Here's another thing. I don't really like warm ranch.
That too.
Like I think I like my ranch cold. Like even when I'm dipping chicken tenders in it or something, like I prefer
Interesting.
cold ranch.
Hmm.
I think if I'm gonna go warm, I want blue cheese.
I, I, I don't I don't
I
have
just
any
wanted to-
response to any of these.
No, I just wanted to see if Miko would throw that up real quick. I'm not being serious.
I think you're serious.
No,
You
because
look
like,
like someone who would like you look like someone who enjoys some quality blue cheese.
gosh, the hell does
Well,
that mean?
I will come here and defend blue cheese if need be.
I don't know
I
if
don't eat ranch with anything.
I don't know if I may have told this a long time ago, but when I went to Buffalo, for the Lions Bills game back in 2018 or 2019. I can't remember, but it was towards the end of the season. Season was basically over, whatever. But it's my first time being to Buffalo, and I went to a wing restaurant, and they go, "Do you want ranch or blue cheese?" And I was like, "Well, I want ranch." And everyone around the table was like, "Oh, you're a loser!" Like
Record
everybody,
scratch.
everybody laughed. And then there was a cutout in the restaurant of like Tom Brady, and it just says like Tom Brady eats his wings with ranch. Like that's like if you order ranch there, you're like clearly an outsider and you're not somebody from Buffalo. I don't really care for blue cheese, if I'm being honest. Like I will vary it up with wings, but like that's
I will
more of a
judge
ranch
you if
person.
like yeah. If you're a heavy blue cheese person, I will judge you.
We're fighting. I love this. I judge
here.
ranch people. I'm like, you don't like the flavor of whatever you're eating. That's why you chose ranch.
Do you do
Because
that
you
just with
just
the
wanna
condiments
taste
you
ranch.
don't like? Is that like the ketchup?
I was gonna
is the
say because like
ketchup
how
the
does
thing?
that work with blue cheese?
Blue cheese is a little bit. Well, I mean, the actual cheese itself is pretty strong, but like, I would say the actual like dressing part of blue cheese is pretty mild.
I just think you hate food. Like you just like the food that you were about to eat
What?
was like you were just like I just want to ruin this a little bit and I'm gonna just throw blue cheese on it. I'm gonna throw moldy cheese on this.
All cheese is mold.
I want to seem distinguished.
All right, so like blue cheese is the IPA of dipping sauces.
Wow, that's kind of good. It's very snobbish. That's how I
Oh,
felt
okay.
when I ordered those wings.
Nah, blue cheese is great. Blue cheese crumbles like on a burger. Oh,
Oh, I
Listen,
think that's
I
where
refuse to
I think
take a
that's
man.
where I'm all the way out. I'm all the way
Really?
out. Blue cheese on
yeah.
a salad, blue cheese crumbles
oh
on like
man.
it's almost like I really like I really had to put down some olives. Like I do not like black olives. I think black
Oh, I
olives,
hate olives.
green olives are even worse. But like everybody wanted black olives on the pizza, and I was like, whatever, I'll just choke it down. It's fine.
Yeah.
And it's just
With
like
enough toppings, I
you
can
can't
like I
you
like
can't get
black
away from them.
olives. I like black olives, like, but again, I would never get like people that'll get like a sausage and olive pizza. Like, I'm not that guy. Like, but if
Okay,
it's
that's
got
good. That's good.
enough toppings on it to where like the black olives are just like in there, like whatever. Like they don't have a distinct enough flavor for me to be like, oh, I just ate an olive.
But I think that like even if I get a supreme pizza, because I'm with you, Miko, it's like if you got enough other fixings on the pizza, like I can try to ignore it, but I know that they're on there. So like it's almost like my taste buds are like searching for them. It's like okay, green pepper, okay, like mushroom, okay, sausage, and then it's like, but where's the black olive? Find the black olive. And then I find it, and I'm like, this is ruined. I'm not enjoying this at all. Might as well dip it in blue cheese.
I can't believe this hate. And you're acting like I'm the immature one.
Civil
You,
war
you
over
scoff
cheese.
at mozzarella sticks, all right? I'm not gonna
Yeah.
like no
Of course I
No.
do. Because again,
fried cheese.
yeah, you have to dip it in something because it's so disgusting by itself.
Who
Everybody.
the hell that?
You,
I
you're
ain't
telling me
everybody
you
then.
order mozzarella sticks and then it comes with a cup of marinara or ranch, and you're like, no thanks, I'm gonna push that to the
I don't
side.
need it if it's again. I think you guys forget like the power of seasoning. Like that can carry a mozzarella stick.
No, it cannot. It's more of like a dryness than anything else. Like you need something to shovel liquid in
Not if
there.
they're fresh. I don't feel like so. I feel like when they're like
But that's the
when they're
thing too.
piping
Like,
hot and fresh, like
yeah,
oh,
you have
it's
a
even
30
better.
second timer on mozzarella sticks because
This
if
isn't
you wait,
McDonald's fries, all right? Don't you dare compare mozzarella sticks to McDonald's fries.
you
Hey,
just made the comparison. I didn't make that comparison.
don't and don't throw barbs about, not knowing seasoning, because I am the originator of I want my fries without salt. So I get them fresh and add salt.
Oh man.
All right, this is the most divided I've seen chat in a while. So I'm doing the ranch or blue cheese poll in Twitch.
Okay.
Because
This is gonna be interesting. And I will say that some of the comments are like every time I turn this on, they're talking about food. Even without Chris, you rant about food. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I'll take blame for it. Today I started talking about the spicy McMuffin, and that just
true.
led us to this. So I apologize.
I guess it's not as split as I thought. I forgot how Midwestern our chat is. That's fine.
I just want to say, chat, if you haven't voted, you haven't done your part. I voted, so
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me vote. I also wrote blue for some reason. Instead
yeah,
of blue cheese.
blue.
I'm
Blue,
just now
blue.
noticing that when I can't type when I'm talking, otherwise it screws things up.
Yeah, that's funny because usually ranch gets like the infantile treatment, where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
they'll eat anything if you dip it in ranch.
Right.
But you just calling blue cheese blue
Blue,
kind
blue.
of sounds like you want some blue blue. You want some blue blue?
No, it's what was that movie with where they called it the True? It was like gosh, I can't explain that movie at all.
Miko literally last show was like, if you guys ask me about references about movies and stuff, I'm not your guy.
I'm
It was-
like that's where I'm gonna disappoint this audience the most. Is like with certain movies, I ain't seen them.
Dan, what kind of logic is that for voting?
It makes sense to me. 60-40. Okay, so it is. There was just a big ranch contingent. The early voters, the ones that show up at 8 o'clock at the polls. Those are the ranch voters.
I don't like what you're insinuating, but I think
I
that
don't
we
even
should
know what
move
I'm
on.
insinuating. Blue cheesers are the mail-in ballots. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
I don't know what's going on.
I don't either. All right, let me get to some alerts. The final poll results are 60% ranch, 40% blue.
It's still, I mean, it's still pretty split.
That's pretty split, I would say.
Blue cheese election fraud.
Right. Rob Schweifler, thank you for subscribing on Twitch 2 days ago. We weren't live, so shout out if you're watching on YouTube or Twitch. Thank you for the Twitch Prime. Dostgib, 45 months subscribed on Twitch. Sin the Half, also a first-time subscriber on Twitch. Appreciate you. SG Jack, thank you for following on Twitch. Kick Puncher, 17 months subscribed on Twitch. JPook, 32 months. Nick the Greek, 100 bits. Not going to read it. One Pride, 0427, 27 months, says that needs to be a question before you're allowed to chat in here. The ranch or blue cheese? That was a 10-minute ago chat. What was that in reference to One Pride? I don't remember. Sally Port, thank you for subscribing on YouTube. And Cattle Snacks 38 months says, I read an ESPN article this morning that said the 2024 Eagles were the fourth best team in the last 25 seasons. Makes me sad because the 2024 Lions were better until injuries made a postseason run impossible. That seems really high for last year's Eagles team.
I wonder how they came to that conclusion. Like, were there metrics that they weighed, or was it just like voting and ranking teams?
Yeah.
I'd like to take a look at the article. I know that Jeremy,
Guessing it's one dude's opinion.
you were very definitively like the Lions wouldn't have stood a chance against the Philadelphia Eagles as they were by the time they got to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But in a vacuum, an injury-proof sealed vacuum?
Yeah,
Think the Lions could have beat the Eagles last year?
no question. I think they were the best team in football through 12 weeks. And like
And that was
definitively
without
so.
Aiden Hutchinson for 6 weeks.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that was the best football team I've ever seen in Detroit play. And that's a relatively low bar, given that
Yeah.
I'm not 80 years old. Um, but
You are?
yeah, I mean, that was a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. I'll let it
Yeah,
slide.
it would have been
I'll let it
interesting to
slide.
see how the Lions would have handled mobile quarterbacks with like Derek Barnes on the field.
Yeah. Derek Barnes, Anzalone with 2 working arms.
Ali McNeil.
Lee
And
McNeil.
then Aiden was on such a tear. Like I think that's the thing that's going to be like, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about the defense in the second half, but like that's the I mean, that's more so looking ahead to the season, but it's like, was that just a flash in the pan, or is like, can Aiden pick that back up?
Right.
Was it just because you were playing OT3s and OT4s?
Right.
Had something to do with it. But like, I mean, you'd like to think that the Lions could have bottled up Saquon a little bit, right? And so what's the Eagles' next move if Saquon is bottled up? They got talented wide receivers, don't get me wrong, and
Arguably the best duo in the NFL, right? Yeah.
But like Jalen Hurts, I was pretty surprised to see him 9th behind Goff in the ESPN exec and coaches ranking, especially after he won the
Surprised that
Super
he was
Bowl.
that low?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Oh, that he was that low?
I was surprised that Goff was ahead of him. And I'm not saying I personally would put Goff ahead of him, but like, one, he just won the Super Bowl. 2, I don't like. I just think the national perception favors mobile quarterbacks. They favor a guy who just won the Super Bowl, so I expected him to be like closer to the top 5.
I think though it's telling that like NFL execs can tell though that he's still not getting the most out of that offense. Like you have arguably a top 5 wide receiver in AJ Brown, arguably a top 5 wide receiver 2 in Devonta Smith, and it's like we're still talking about there's weeks where it's like you're not getting the most out of your passing attack.
And Dallas Goedert too. Like he's no slouch.
Right.
So I mean,
Like
you're filled with weapons, right?
Right. Like I think you talked about any of those other quarterbacks that are in the top 10 that if you gave them that repertoire, they'd be going like insane numbers, like record-breaking numbers
Yeah. So
with
I
that
think,
offensive line too. I'm sorry.
well, yeah,
I got to throw
yeah.
that caveat in there too.
I mean, if you want to stack it up, like I do think like top to bottom that the Eagles have better offensive, like they have a better offense. I think when it comes to like player by player, I think Detroit's a close second, but I do think the thing that's most telling, that Jalen Hurts is 9, is that Saquon Barkley's number 1. Like, I think that people have pretty much decided that this offense got over the hump and finally won the Super Bowl because they got Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
And because Saquon Barkley plus that offensive line is like the driving force of this offense that, like, now Jalen Hurts looks better than he has and why he's finally able to get over the hump. So I think that was the thing that, like, as soon as I saw Saquon Barkley won, I was, and then obviously, like, now maybe recency bias, but once that list came out, I was like, I think I understand why Jalen Hurts is 9 and not higher.
I mean, I just want to like highlight what you said. Like, we've reached a shift in the discourse so heavily that I think you're right in saying a running back, not a quarterback, pushed the Eagles over the Super Bowl hump. Which, I mean, Super Bowl hump, they won it like 5 years ago. So
Do you think Derrick Henry, if the Baltimore Ravens win a Super Bowl and he runs for 2,000 yards, who do you think is going to get more credit, Lamar Jackson or Derrick Henry?
well, what was
I
Lamar
still
on
think
that
it's
list?
Lamar.
Lamar
I still
was
think it's
like
Lamar.
3 or 4, right? And like someone had him way low. I need to go back and look at that list because Lamar doesn't get
And this is
enough
why
credit
this
still.
right. But to Ryan's point, like this is why I would say Lamar though, because like I don't think anyone looks at that Baltimore team as like them underperforming because Lamar Jackson's not doing enough. I think everyone looks at that
You don't
Baltimore
think
team.
that?
I don't think so. I think people look at that team as like Lamar doesn't get like everything is already put on him and he's doing the best with what he has. Like
I think that's
they just
true. I don't
recently,
think that's necessarily what people think though. Like Lamar doesn't get enough credit still. I think he's 4 on the list, so he's behind Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow.
like like we all know, like quarterbacks get way too much credit and way too much blame for like playoff wins and playoff losses, like or any win or
I mean,
loss.
for
Like that's
team performance in general, right? Yeah.
yeah, like but I still think that when you look at what the Ravens are accomplishing, like no one can discredit. Like you take Lamar Jackson off that team, they're drafting in the top 5 every year.
Right.
Okay,
Probably
but can I just read like the opening paragraph to Lamar Jackson's section and then you walk away saying, "Oh yeah, they have that guy ranked fourth." Jackson is the most breathtaking player in the game. He might be the most feared too, depending on whom you ask. And he was close to winning a third MVP last season. In fact, beating out the actual MVP Allen for first team All Pro status in an unusual split of those honors. Winning a third award would put Jackson on a short list, so accomplished that first names aren't necessary. Manning, Rodgers, Brady, Favre, Brown, and Unitas. That's the guy they have ranked fourth among quarterbacks in the NFL. And I like
One Super Bowl is going to change that for him. Like I like it's right. Like
I think it will 100% change it. I think it'll change it, but I'm just wondering who gets the most credit. If Derrick Henry is a 2,000-yard rusher because he wants to be in Happy Gilmore 3, and he has an incredible season, I think Derrick Henry would all of a sudden. I mean, he's getting towards the end of his career. It's like that would maybe even put him up in the air of like you're talking like the Walter Paytons and the Emmett Smiths and the Barry Sanders. Like you look at
yeah,
look at his accomplishments, but I'm just saying that like when has Lamar ever had a running back play with him like he has with Derrick Henry?
sure. I think when looking at Saquon and Derrick Henry, specifically like how they impact their quarterbacks, like I do genuinely feel like Saquon makes Jalen Hurts' life like exponentially easier. Whereas I see Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson as like an actual partnership. Like they actually benefit one another. Because think about like that last season that Derrick Henry had in Tennessee before he went to Baltimore. Like it was starting to look like the wheels were coming off. Like Derrick Henry was no longer going to be the Derrick Henry of old. He gets with Lamar Jackson, and then it's like the fact that you have to worry about somebody so dynamic in Lamar Jackson makes life easier for Derrick Henry just as much as he makes Lamar's life easier as a runner. I don't know if it's like an equal trade-off between Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon drastically makes Jalen Hurts' job easier so that he can, live off of play action so that he can, hit those occasional deep shots to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. And then you got tush push. But I think most teams, especially going to next year, are going to be like, hey, we're just going to try and stop Jalen Hurts. We're going to make Jalen Hurts life, or I'm sorry, we're going to try and stop Saquon Barkley, and then just expect and see if Jalen Hurts can beat us.
Some teams tried that and it didn't work out so well.
Well, I mean, when you have a guaranteed first down from a yard out,
Because of Jalen Hurts, though.
no,
Partially,
because
at least.
Saquon got you 9 yards on every carry.
What does that mean, Dan? The 6 quarterbacks from last year? I don't know what that means. I know you want a list cast, but I'm not sure what that means, the 6 quarterbacks from last year. You mean like the top 6 in this ranking? How we would rank them?
Well, also real quick too. Lamar Jackson, they had him the lowest ranking somebody ranked him was 6.
Yeah.
I don't know
Which is
how
crazy.
I want to see his list specifically.
Right. So if you haven't seen the list, I'll run through, and if you don't even know what we're talking about, it's ESPN's polling survey of NFL executives, coaches, and scouts. I think it's like over 50 of them that they poll. So from 1 to 10, it's Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar, Jaden Daniels makes it all the way to 5. Matthew Stafford is 6. Justin Herbert is 7. Goff is 8. Jalen Hurts is 9. Baker Mayfield, first time on the list, is 10. Then you have C.J. Stroud, Jordan Love as honorable mentions, and then a bunch of others that got votes.
I kind of have a feeling I know the person who ranked Lamar Jackson 6 had Baker Mayfield ranked fifth.
Baker had one as high as 5. Wow.
It,
Jalen Hurts was highest was 6.
that sounds about right, though, right? Like,
Yeah. I guess I thought the public perception of him was higher than it actually is.
I think that highest ranking for Jared Goff being 5 is like, whoa, what? You think he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL?
I mean,
see, the one that raised my eyebrows
statistically-
is Justin Herbert at like highest at 3. Like,
Okay, that's still just like
I'm a
I
Justin Herbert
wonder.
truther.
I wonder. I am a Justin Herbert truther as well, but I'm just wondering when that bubble's finally gonna pop.
When
like-
do you actually give it up?
Well, does it seem it? He was drafted before Trevor Lawrence, but people are like jumping off the Trevor Lawrence ship. Like
but
it's
I'm
the
a Trevor
Titanic.
Lawrence truther too. I like both those guys.
But who do you believe in more? Turning it around.
Herbert. Yeah.
And it's I don't know.
Anyone else? Do you think Herbert at 7 is okay?
I still think 7's a little high.
Yeah.
I probably would drop him to like 9.
But who would you move ahead? You would move Jalen Hurts up.
I'd move
Goff
move
up.
Goff up. I'd move.
So anybody you would
I'd
add
still
to this
move
list?
Jalen. I would put CJ Stroud in this in the top 10.
Yeah.
He was not good last year, and I don't think it was necessarily his fault. Like their offensive line was awful.
I think personally, like, I would drop Jalen Hurts to 10. Move Herbert to 9, and then Stroud at 8, and then move Jared up to 7. Honestly, Jared could go as high as 6. Like,
Oh.
him and Stafford could literally like flop as well.
Remember the days in which we were just like, I can't believe Stafford is not a top 10 quarterback in this league. I can't believe no one is treating him as a top 10 quarterback in this league. And now it's just
That's
like,
why I say one super.
He's 40 years old and he's still number 6. He's not 40. But
That's why I say like one Super Bowl for Lamar. Like, he's going to be unanimously number 1 for people.
Over Mahomes?
Yeah, off of talent alone. Like, you just
No.
you just read that excerpt, and people are
No,
going to still
more
be like,
rings. More rings.
That's great. If
that's
the wheels continue to fall off for Mahomes, like, if things still continue to look shaky,
What do you mean the wheels falling off? They went to the Super Bowl last year, Miko.
and but like,
the offense.
do you feel like Patrick Mahomes looked like Patrick Mahomes last year?
Not the Patrick Mahomes that we've seen in years prior, but I'm just saying that like the rings argument, and I'm not prescribing
get
to
what
it,
you're
but I'm just saying that there's enough. And there's a reason why I think you look at the AFC West, and the reason the Kansas City Chiefs are still the betting favorite in that division is
Sure.
because of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
I just think going off of what you read, I do feel like people want to crown Lamar Jackson as that. They just need to see him get over the hump that is Patrick Mahomes once. And you're going to see a lot more people make that claim because Lamar's just
this.
like,
I think this upcoming season is going to mean a lot to where people think quarterbacks are ranking, because the Chiefs ranked 15th in scoring offense last year. 15th. Not good. And if they struggle again and middle of the pack, like, I think there will be conversations about who is the best number 1 quarterback right now. Mahomes will always be in the GOAT conversation no matter what now. Like, he could fall off a cliff now. And I don't mean that literally. Like, his play could fall off a cliff. I don't.
Yeah.
And he's still in the GOAT discussion. But if you're talking right now, and I don't want to act like he's an old man and decaying or anything like that, but when you lead the 15th ranked offense, I think it's fair to question whether you're the number 1 quarterback in the league right now, even if it's not just you, right? It's a lot of things. You're still kind of reeling, figuring out who your wide receivers are after you traded away one of the best ones. You're dealing with a 38-year-old tight end who. Stop. I'm not going to pretend like his personal life is affecting his game. I don't care about any of that.
No,
you
you're
want to say that his talent is being like sucked away by Taylor Swift?
Yes. He's being siphoned by that succubus. No.
Oh gosh, you said all the things you didn't want to say.
I
So
know.
way to go on showing restraint there. I think something about the Chiefs' offense though last year, and that's the thing, is that you get to a certain point on this list and you see the tiers of like these guys raise the floor of the talent around them.
Yeah.
And like I think we all can agree that's Mahomes, that's Burrow, that's Allen, that's Lamar. And then
You
you
think
start,
Burrow raises the talent around him?
yeah.
He has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Like,
But he
how much
dragged
how
a
much raising are you
terrible
doing?
team to almost the playoffs last year.
I no, I get that, but you have arguably the best wide receiver in football, and again, arguably the best wide receiver too in football. Like,
You're really high on T. Higgins. I'm finding out a
I
lot about
am.
you, Miko. Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, I am. And I think the Bengals are too. Otherwise, you would have let him walk and not paid him that ridiculous amount of money. Like,
Yeah, I'm just wondering like when it comes to the Bengals, and correct me if I'm wrong, this might just be like a blind spot for me, but like what's their running game like? Like I mean it almost kind of feels a little bit like Matthew Stafford-ish where it's like, well, like are you going to hold I was never somebody who held Calvin Johnson against Matthew Stafford, but I
no.
also did think that Matthew Stafford could raise the level of talent because of his arm talent. And that's I think Burrow has arm talent in spades. I'm not saying that he makes Jamar Chase look better. I think that's a match made in heaven. I think T. Higgins is an awesome weapon. I'm saying that Joe Burrow, like beyond those guys, if he had to go for a period of time without Jamar Chase, or if he had to go for a period of time without T. Higgins, which he has, like he's still like Joe Burrow. Like he's still making incredible throws. He's still keeping his team in position to win despite his defense being bad.
I mean, I think that's fair. I guess, yeah, I guess I look at it a little differently in terms of like, because to use your Stafford analogy, like it was Calvin, and then like it truly didn't matter who was wide receiver two. It truly
Oh,
didn't
how
matter who was the
dare
tight
you
end.
talk about Golden Tate and Nate Burleson like that?
All right, Golden Tate is an exception, but like it got to a point where like it truly didn't matter. Like if Calvin missed a game or if Calvin wasn't 100%, like you just knew Stafford was going to get the ball to people. I don't look at T. Higgins as like people. I guess you could maybe say that about Mike Gesicki, but I don't know. Like I just feel like, to your point, I think Joe Burrow is in a perfect like match made in heaven scenario. And so I guess until I see him without both guys and they still kind of like push to make a playoff spot, that I don't know if I would necessarily say like definitively that he elevates the talent around. I think he gets the most out of it, but I don't know if he elevates the talent that's around.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
just, I just want to personally apologize
Yeah.
to Chris Durham.
Oh man.
Good old Chris Durham. He had one of the most important catches.
One of the most
Matthew
incredible
Stafford's
catches,
career.
Yeah.
but it was a freaking dime.
It was a dime.
Uh, I kind of want to keep going, but like Mike Gesicki was like written off in Miami,
Yeah.
and he
But I
comes
also
back to
like
Cincinnati and has a really really good season.
yeah.
So I don't. I guess it's all a long-winded way to come back to like the point I wanted to make about Mahomes was that like they lost Pacheco for a good chunk of last season. That's their
Hmm.
starting running back. Who'd they turn to? Kareem Hunt off the street. I mean that was their running back, and then like they lost Rasheed Rice. You know,
Yeah.
their wide receiver. So it's like even with like a depleted group, and this has been like the great experiment in professional football is like Mahomes after Tyreek Hill. Like they've won a Super Bowl. They
Hmm.
like they've gone to another Super Bowl, right? Like it's like even though they were the 15th ranked offense, it's like there's something still to be said about like winning football games. And I
True.
know that's not all just Patrick Mahomes, and that kind of sounds like a quarterback wins argument, but like,
No, because I think there's
yeah,
enough people that see what the Chiefs are doing, and like as great as Patrick Mahomes is, and maybe it ends up developing into this. Like I think enough people know that Andy Reid has a lot to do with the success of this team. And so until you get to a like Brady Belichick type divorce, like I think people won't ever truly know who was the catalyst to all of these wins.
yeah, I do think it's a bit disingenuous to be, and I know you're not saying this, but I think it's a bit disingenuous to say, well, Brady went to Tampa Bay, won a Super Bowl with Bruce Arians. Brady was clearly the special sauce to Bill Belichick. Like that's not
Hmm.
true by any means. it's kind of maybe closer to like the analogy that we were talking about with like Chase and Burrow, where it's like it's just a match made in heaven. Like this is
Yeah.
working. This will work out great, fantastic.
Well, yeah, because I mean, in that argument with like as much as people made that like a Belichick Brady argument, like a lot of people left off the defense, which is like, hey, that defense helped Tom a ton.
I mean, even in the Super Bowl, right, Jeremy? You remember that Mahomes? And funny enough, it was Patrick Mahomes, but like that Chiefs Buccaneers Super Bowl,
Yeah.
like the Buccaneers defense just had the Chiefs in absolute hell.
Yep. I mean, look, it requires a full team. Matthew Stafford is a perfect example of it requires a full team, right? Like, we want to give all the Super Bowls only the credit to the quarterback, but
Aaron Donald was a big reason why the Rams won that Super Bowl.
yeah, that team was
Jalen Ramsey was a
stacked.
big reason they won that Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus a little luck along the way. Like it's very easy to look back on
championship
that
game, huh?
Rams, the NFC Championship game where like they almost blew it to Tom Brady and the Bucks after they had a huge lead in that game, right? And it was just like, oh, here comes touchdown Tom, and then it required a bomb from Stafford to I don't know, was it Tapuka?
I think it was Cooper
No,
Kupp.
he wasn't
Cooper?
in the league yet. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, it was still
Yeah, it was
Cooper.
Cooper.
Well, I mean,
'Cause, like,
remember that? But that team had
entire playoff
OBJ
run
too,
was-
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and he gets hurt in the Super Bowl. He was probably on track to be like the MVP of the Super Bowl if he doesn't tear his ACL.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's a team
See,
game, y'all.
We do talk about football, not just food. I just
Long
wanted
story
to.
short, it's a team game. Did we uncovered the amazing discovery that football is a team game.
The
You heard it here
quarterback
first.
wins community is shaking.
Shambles. HSW, thank you for the 7 months subscribed on Twitch. Says greeting, fellow Loins fans. Greetings.
Jump back into the second half of the preview.
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna send out a Slack real quick and then good to go.
Oh, what's going on in Slack?
Bubble Watch. Sending out the Bubble Watch alert.
Oh, I didn't say that I was in, but can I add my name?
Yeah. If you want in, Miko, you can too. You don't have to write anything. You just need to predict who's going to be in and who's out. You don't
Oh
have to.
yeah.
No
I,
pressure.
I forgot all about that. No, I just been.
Do you want me to highlight my name in green?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, if you start filling it out, then I understand. But don't fill it out now.
Yeah, I'm filling it out now.
Yeah, I think we can. Oh wait, Dan, I forgot what you said about your list cast.
Oh, his list cast. Well, he said that we could forget about it, but I think it was initially like, wasn't it like top rookie quarterbacks from last year?
Ranking them?
I don't even remember who they were. 2024 NFL draft. It's cool to forget it. Okay. All right, you sure? I can refund you if you want it. All right. You've been refunded. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Pseudosofer. Enjoy your vacation in Maine. I've been to Maine once for the, it's actually for the Millennium, which is, wouldn't have been my first choice, but I was only 14 at the time, to spend the Millennium at. But it actually, I think I would appreciate it more now. It's a very nice place. Who's number one? Oh, Caleb Williams number one in the NFL. Y'all see Adam Ranks? He's starting to do those like annual predictions where he's up on the board and doing win-loss for every team.
Get out of
Didn't he
here.
have like 8 lines, like 8, 9?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't see what he did for the Chicago Bears yet, but
Oh, I'm pretty sure something like very conservative, like 15-2 or something.
right.
I don't want to put Lauren Strickland out. Have a great training camp, Lauren Strickland.
Hey, you can vouch for him in 10 minutes here.
I don't know if I want to do that right now.
Safety forward. It's a legit position.
Sione Vaki.
No, stop it. 11-6. Is that what his Bears prediction was?
Sounds about right.
Hold on.
Do you guys mind if I add Hutch to segment 2 under Edge?
Nah, go ahead. There was another thing I wanted to talk about. I don't know. Do you want to get into the other questions and superlatives I wrote? That was just kind of like filler stuff. but like
Uh,
I kind of want to talk about Jahmyr Gibbs lining out wide
Well,
because I
what,
always want to talk about that.
why don't
well,
we
I
do?
so I had meant to ask this, but
uh
I guess it's a terrible time to ask it. I
That's
was gonna
fine.
ask like, did
Sometimes we work through show notes in the middle of the break. That's fine.
Sometimes
People
we make the
appreciate.
sausage right here.
Yeah.
I had meant to ask like because of how much there is to cover, should this have been 3 segments?
Mm.
And I
I
wasn't
mean,
sure of time.
we can still do that. Like if we want to do defense here and then just kind of do superlatives really quick as the third segment. I have enough time tonight if that's okay with the rest of you.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have time. Yeah, like I said, I meant to ask that, and I just never got around to typing that question out.
it's fine with
Fair.
me, unless you wanted to do like them as quick hitters, as like answer real quick kind of thing. But if you guys want to take like an extra 20, 25,
That first
and
segment went like 35 too.
it was kind of long.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I have no problem doing quick hitters because it'll actually probably make my outro smoother. Because
Jake Pook, I am
Lord
giving
knows
you
I
your
need a
money
little
back.
bit more help with setting those up.
Jake Pook wanted us to do a list cast on ranking the adequate roast holes.
What even are those?
Our very first new podcast, I said Miko was doing a good job filling out the adequate roast hole.
Well, I remember
Flipping.
that. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's what he's saying. He's
Oh,
just,
like
he
who would
just,
qualify as like an adequate roast hole?
no, I think
Adam
he's just.
Rank,
I think he's
Emmanuel
just.
Acho.
He's just.
Joey Taylor.
Acho. Just everyone on Fox Sports, essentially.
Well, I would put Stephen A, but I don't think he's a host, right? He's just lead commentator.
I don't know what you call Stephen A. Smith.
I did get a good chuckle out of like Fox Sports like canceling Emmanuel Acho's and Joy Taylor's show on the same day.
Oh, did they? I didn't even see that.
Yeah. Just like one of those random things that popped up on Twitter, and I got a good chuckle out of it.
Be True, thank you for the 29 months. Says, hang the air freshener as a chain on you, Jeremy. I believe this is in reference to the T-Pain air freshener, which apparently is en route to the
PO box.
the PO box.
Fantastic, phenomenal.
And we got a little POD get together on Saturday. Are you two both going to be there?
Oh yeah.
I might bring it there just so you guys can get a taste, not a literal taste,
Yeah, don't do that.
a smell.
Nah.
Should be fun. Anyways, all right, we're caught up with alerts. Should we just go back into it, especially if we're gonna maybe do a third segment? We can play the third segment by ear if you guys want. Like,
See how fast this goes with defense.
yeah.
I was gonna say yeah.
Okay.
All right.
It's 7:31, so if it's like 8 o'clock and we haven't gotten to any of the questions, I think maybe we should consider a third.
Okay.
Right? Sweet.
I'm with it. And welcome back to the whoa.
Take two.
Stumbled over a roast hole there. And welcome back to the Pride of Detroit POD cast. We are jumping into segment 2 where we are going to be talking about training camp preview, focusing specifically on the defense in this segment. And Ryan, I got to start with the edge position. And I think whether you're talking about the depth at edge, because obviously the Lions had a number of issues in terms of guys getting injured and trying to find quality depth, or if you just look at the starting position with both the likes of possibly Aiden Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport, I think there's a lot of questions at edge, and at least in terms of like, can guys pick up where they were performing last year? And I think that starts in training camp and at least being able to see glimpses of dominance, right?
Yeah, I think that starts and ends with Aiden Hutchinson. Like as long as Aiden Hutchinson is still the guy who he was through the first, 5 and however many quarters of the game, right into that Dallas game, it's like if he is that guy, then a lot of the other problems along the defensive line, in my opinion, kind of wash away. Like there's been so much made all off season long about how the Lions need to go all in and get some other big name guy, and we've been over this ad nauseum. But the thing about Aiden Hutchinson is that they could piecemeal it together and they'll be just fine. And we're going to talk about some of these other guys on the opposite of him. But even in the two games where it was Levi Onwuzurike in that Seattle Seahawks game. He played a lot of end. He played a lot of edge opposite of Aiden Hutchinson in that game and performed really well in that game. Josh Pascal, he played a lot of end in that game with the Dallas Cowboys. Jeremy, I just think that you can put somebody opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, and his health is so important to this team. It doesn't really matter, I think, who's opposite of him in my very real football opinion.
Right. I mean, it's hard to say a little bit too because, the defense was great when he was out there. It was still kind of good when he wasn't out there for a while, and then it wasn't. So what's it like for a full season of Aiden Hutchinson at his current level of play, which is like borderline defensive player of the year level of play? How does that shake down the rest of the roster? How's it look without Aleem McNeil for the first half of the season, right? That is an important part of the algebra as well. The thing is with Aiden, like, and maybe this is me just being pie in the sky, all things are great in the offseason. I have zero concerns about him. I really do. The injury happened early enough last season. He's had enough off season to just like train, just not rehab, just train. He's been healthy for like 2 months now. So it isn't a normal like coming off a major injury season for him because he was going to play in the Super Bowl, Ryan.
Well, I mean, he's still on track to play in the Super Bowl if all things are equal.
Right. But obviously, like, we shouldn't minimize the importance of having someone opposite Aiden. Like, if teams are going to adjust how they're going to play to Aiden and double team him and stuff, there's got to be someone there that's capable of doing it. And I don't know what Marcus Davenport can do in training camp to convince people that it's all going to be all right. I think the answer is probably nothing.
Nothing. Zero things he can prove in training camp. Getting through training camp healthy would be like the bare minimum.
That's the first step, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think like even if I don't know, I almost feel like if Marcus Davenport starts missing practices during training camp, I'm just gonna be like, so how many of these snaps are going to Ahmed Hassanin? Like, is he getting these opportunities to rep opposite Aiden? Because I think he's the next guy that I think a lot of people are going to look towards to be like, how is he performing in camp, and is he just high motor, or is he actually starting to piece things together, Jeremy, in terms of like skill set and show flashes of being like a competent pass rusher at the NFL level?
Yeah, I've said a couple times, I think this offseason now, I think Ahmed Hassanin is going to be like a preseason superstar. I think you're going to see him in like the second half, third and fourth quarters of these preseason games where he's just giving like 50% more effort than anyone else on the field and racking up sacks against quarterbacks that, will be in the UFL in a couple of years. But then like reality will hit. He'll be inactive for like the first 2 months of the season. And like, I don't mean that as a slight to him or anything like that. I just think he's on a long developmental track where I think his energy and his commitment and, even some of his skill set, like his athleticism, will carry him far enough in the preseason. But that stuff, like all the tinkering, all of the fine tuning, that's going to take time. That's going to take maybe a full season before we can really expect him to be a rotational contributor. Like maybe it'll happen by the end of the year, but I'm trying to kind of temper my expectations for a little bit. Like he's still a really good story. He's going to be a great interview. And like I said, I think when you have someone that gives that much effort, it's going to be easy to root for him, and it's going to be hard to see him fail if he does. But I need to temper the expectations because we all get really like, of course, everyone's going to gravitate towards the one edge defender that they drafted this year. And it just so happens that he has one of the best personalities on the team and an amazing, origin story here to the NFL.
Yeah. Well, speaking of 6th-round picks, though, I think you're going to see a lot of similarities between Malcolm Rodriguez in 2022, where, the Lions were looking for help at linebacker. And it was like, well, I mean, look at this 6th-round rookie. Like, they like him and he flashes and things like that. And it's like, okay, but like probably best served on special teams as like a depth player.
Yeah. He's going to raise hell on special teams, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, like could you find a more special teams draft class like Tesla and, Ahmed Hassanin?
Yeah, I think he's going to be one of those players, like to Jeremy's point about being able to temper expectations. Like I think his highs are going to be like fans are going to be going crazy, right? The first time he gets a sack, the first time he gets a tackle for loss, like fans are going to be crazy, like, oh, this is going to be the next big edge. And then you're going to see him like crash on a stretch play when he should have been containing, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, he's not ready." Like
Right.
it's going. That's
Yeah.
at least what I expect going into both like training camp and preseason is that you're going to see that learning curve, and I think that still should be okay for fans because I think whether it's training camp, like I think that's what the Lions are going to be trying to hammer home. They're going to be trying to confuse him because they know, like, hey, this is a dude that's super athletic. Can we get you to think the game though? Because everybody at this level is athletic, right, Ryan?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's going to be the biggest hurdle for him to clear for sure. I think you look on the inside of that defensive line though, and it plays in part to what Jeremy touched on with, well, you're looking for any kind of help opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, and there's some guys on the inside who can make a big difference. Like they are guys who could potentially get after the passer, whether you kick Levi out or you keep Levi in, and not having Lee McNeil, Jeremy, I think opens up a lot of opportunity for the first round rookie to shine.
Yeah, and it's to me what's fascinating about Tyleek is just where does he start? Because he played a lot of three tech in college, but when they keep comparing him to Aleem played a lot of nose tackle early in his NFL career and then moved more to the three tech, and I just don't know how ready he's going to be for the three tech because he hasn't shown a ton of film on his pass rushing acumen. Like they think it's in there. They think he has the skill set to do it, but that's something that I think they're going to have to develop a little bit. So is his early role just, hey, play the nose tackle and raise hell in the run game like you did in college? That kind of makes sense to me of a starting place. And if that's the case, well, then you don't really have your Aleem replacement right now. You kind of have a guy that's interchangeable with Aleem McNeil starting in 2026, but I'm not sure he's that guy right now. I think maybe it is a little bit more like Levi. Maybe it is a little bit more, hey, let's play Levi in the inside. He can play 3, he can play 5. In a pinch, he could probably play some nose too. But yeah, I think if you're looking for interior pass rush, I'm not sure how much you're going to get from Tyleek in his rookie season, but I definitely think that's something that they envision down the line.
Miko, do you think when you look at the numbers along the interior of the defensive line, do you think it's like DJ Reader in pass rushing situations, or if you do see Tyleek Williams as that guy to, eventually take on that role, like do you see him maybe getting some more at this point? Because it's going to be that rotation, right? So like you're going to probably want DJ Reader
Yeah.
on earlier downs, but I don't necessarily see them wanting to put DJ Reader and Tyleek Williams on the field at the same time on early downs.
And that's the thing that makes me think that like with Tyleek, it's not so much it's definitely going to be development, right? Like he's a rookie, he absolutely needs to develop like additional pass rushing skills. But I remember when Morgan and I were like looking at his film back at Ohio State, it's a guy that you see that can do it, but I always constantly question like, is it more scheme at Ohio State that they're not asking him to be that attacking three tech, instead they're asking him to occupy space? So could it just be a philosophy switch to where he gets in Detroit, he gets into training camp, and it's Kelvin Shepard, and the rest of that defensive coaching staff being like, hey, we want you to be attacking. When you're in next to DJ Reader, knife through, try to beat the man in front of you and be, a disruptor in the backfield. And if that doesn't quite come natural to him, then like, hey, you have Levi Onwuzurike to fall back on. You have Josh Pascal to fall back on, guys that have that experience, Jeremy, that can occupy that role on a third down situation to where if you have to take Tyleek Williams and DJ Reader out, great. You're rotating in Levi, you're rotating in Pascal, and those are your guys that you're looking to generate pressure from the middle. Or we've seen them do this before too. You flex Aiden to the inside and you
Sure.
make a guard,
Yeah.
fight for his life for a down.
And let's not forget kind of the forgotten guy in this entire defensive line group, because he's technically not a defensive lineman, but like Derek Barnes is part of this conversation too, right? He's going to be out on the edge in some of these pass rushing situations, whether his role is to pass rush or drop into coverage. You aren't going to know, but that kind of pushes everyone down a spot. And so I am really fascinated by the defensive line group, specifically defensive tackle, because there's a lot of options there, but you're just not exactly sure how the pieces fit together. And hopefully they figured some of that in the spring. But I figure, early in training camp, they're probably going to be playing around with a lot of different formations, a lot of different combinations of players. And, I can't sit here and tell you for sure what that's going to look like with Tyleek, with Levi, with Pascal, with Barnes. There are going to be a lot of different combinations. And I think that's part of the intrigue of that position group this summer.
The last thing I want to say about the defensive line is that none of us are really questioning whether or not they're going to be able to stop the run. They're going to be able to stop the
Right.
run. They got enough mean, nasty dudes up front to stop the run. We keep on talking about pass rush, and I'm just waiting on Zadarius Smith. It seems like almost like a foregone conclusion, like it's going to happen at some point in my mind, like it's just going to happen because I think he's an afforded luxury that you can have just on third down,
Right.
right? And it's like then all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're not really worried about the guy opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. You're not worried about Marcus Davenport's health as much because they do have those guys
Sure.
who can kick outside and be run defenders on early downs, whether it's Levi. They trust Josh Pascal, and I think he's maybe one of the more like intriguing storylines of all. Like
Yeah.
it's do or die time for Josh Pascal.
Hey, who do they
Yeah,
sign
I would
first?
definitely agree.
Who do they sign first, Darius Smith or Tate Ratledge?
Tate Ratledge.
Tate
I sure
Ratledge.
hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. Right? Yeah,
I
the
thought you were,
clock's ticking.
I thought you were gonna say like who did they sign first, Zadarius Smith or extend Aiden Hutchinson, and I was gonna be like,
Oh,
oh, Zadarius.
probably true too.
Yeah,
All right. Well, like you were saying, like there's questions definitely along the defensive line, but there's also some questions about the linebacker core too, right? Like not necessarily in who's starting because we know what that group is going to look like, right? You have Jack Campbell, you have Alex Anzalone, you mentioned Derek Barnes playing that Sam role, but the Lions are going to be without Malcolm Rodriguez for a good portion of this season, and he's somebody that they love to be able to rotate out there to get some quality snaps, to be able to mix things up on defense every once in a while. Do you see, Ryan, anyone on this roster right now that could vie for, taking some of those snaps that Rodrigo used to get?
the linebacker core. I mean, just knock on wood, Alex Anzalone and everything. He shows up and everything's great, and you feel really good about Derek Barnes. You feel good about Alex Anzalone. You feel good about the progress you've made with Jack Campbell. Then there's just like a lot of special teams guys. And that's kind of the Rodrigo role, right? Like you want a special teams guy who you can at least trust to not be a total loss on defense. And I'm not saying that Rodrigo is that guy because I think he has defensive starter. Um, I don't want to say like potential. Like I don't think he's like a long term like, ooh, you want to put all your money behind Malcolm Rodriguez and make him one of your long term starters. But I could very easily see him getting back healthy, being productive for this team, and then it's off to greener pastures. I think another team would be really interested in signing Malcolm Rodriguez and giving him that opportunity to be a contributor on defense in the way that Jeremy, I don't think that this roster I almost started saying like going forward, but like going forward, it's Jack Campbell and Derek Barnes and
Question
who?
mark. Right.
Yeah,
No, I think Malcolm has been a luxury these past 4 years. Like that's
yeah.
the best way to say it is having a guy that you can at least trust to go out there and run the defense in a way that looks similar to what you want it to, right? Like he isn't a perfect guy in coverage, isn't a perfect pass rusher, but like he's very good in defending the run, which is what they want to do primarily. And that's something that I don't know if is on this roster right now. Like I think it's fair to say that Roy Lopez is like he's a lock, right? Like I don't think anyone thinks Roy Lopez is not going to make this team, but can he provide the same kind of assurance defensively that Malcolm can? I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's a tricky question. I think Malcolm's superpower, like you said, is run defense, but it's also sure tackling. Like if
Yes.
Malcolm's the first guy to the ball,
Yep.
there's a really good shot that like it doesn't matter who else is with him. Like all 5'11" of him is going to take him down.
Right. The
Yeah,
But
problem
and I
Lopez
think
has some sloppy tape in that respect.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and I think like if that's where like you say like looking at that linebacker forward position, like it's going to be tough to see who can really fill in that position. I think Grant Stewart is a guy that a lot of people look at, and I think the Lions seem fairly confident in him, at least definitely from a special teams perspective. But this is also a team that likes to reward those guys. If you play really, really well on special teams, like hey, we're going to give you your opportunities, with the defense. And I think he's somebody that whether it's second team defense or third team defense, like go out there and make plays, and maybe that'll get you some additional snaps on the field, Ryan.
He fits the bill. He fits the bill. Like I did the roster preview on Grant Stewart, and I got like increasingly more excited. And like we talked to Zach Hicks from the indie sites, Jeremy on First Bite, and it just seems like everybody said it was a match made in heaven for Dan Campbell and
Yeah.
Grant Stewart to cross paths, and you saw a little bit of the potential in the upside. He very much screams like Malcolm Rodriguez to me.
I'm just now realizing I called Grant Stewart Roy Lopez and probably confused both of you for a second there.
You did not, but I did
I
look
didn't?
up Roy Lope. No,
Okay.
because I think that was an interesting comparison in the sense of like, obviously, like Roy Lopez is going to make the roster based on the money he got, right?
Yeah, yeah. But I meant Grant Stewart when I said all
You
those
meant
things.
Grant Stewart, but the question you did ask about like
Yeah,
how much they contribute to the defense. Like Roy Lopez is something who like in an ideal world, you have DJ Reader, you have Tyleek Williams. When Aleem McNeil gets healthy,
yeah.
like how many snaps is Roy Lopez really getting? And that's the same thing with Malcolm Rodriguez is like if you have Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell, and Derek Barnes all healthy, like how much is Malcolm Rodriguez really playing outside of a special teams role?
Yeah. I guess the thing I wanted to say about Grant Stewart is like I'm not quite as sure he can play defense as I am Malcolm is. And part of that is just because like Grant Stewart really got his first action last year and he had that incredible 18, 19 tackle game.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like it tapered off a little bit after that. Like it wasn't
Colts sucked.
the Colts did suck. That's fair. But like there's also everyone behind him, which I almost view everyone on an even level, and that's probably not fair to some of these guys, but like you have Nowaski and Pittman and Zach Cunningham, the veteran, you have Ezekiel Turner, like those four guys are probably all battling for maybe like one, maybe two spots, even beyond Grant Stewart. And I don't know how you differentiate yourself from that group because a lot of those guys are actually really, really good special teamers, but like can Nowaski play some Sam that might finally give the lines a little bit of depth
How important
there?
is that spot? How
Right.
important is that linebacker role? You know, we asked that question with James Houston, right? When
Yeah.
they were trying to find out who that was, like, does this roster as a whole, when you're keeping guys like Roy Lopez on the roster,
Yeah.
does it have room for a backup Sam linebacker?
It's a good question.
I don't
I
know.
mean, it seems like a surefire way to like, I mean, if you want to kind of pencil yourself in on the roster, like one of those guys may have to step up and be like, hey, I can do this. I can do this job in the event that you guys want to do something else with Derek Barnes, right? In
And
the
also
event
do
that-
special teams. And also,
right.
yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, usually you're like, oh well, how's OL5 or OL6 gonna make, or LB5, LB6 gonna make the team? It's usually, oh well, he's got to play on special teams. All these guys play on special
All of
teams.
them. Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
you're gonna actually have to win your spot, showing you can be a good defender.
It's going to be
Interesting.
interesting. And I think two other guys that we got to talk about, and this is more so in the secondary, that are going to have to at least prove that they've developed over the offseason are the two, second year corners that the Lions took last year in Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw. Now, Terrion obviously got a lot of opportunities to earn his stripes, right? The hard way and going out there and starting. But like, Jeremy, do you foresee him making that big year two jump? And like, what do you kind of need to see in camp early on to at least give you that feeling that, hey, he has improved and he has learned from some of his mistakes in his rookie season?
Yeah, I think the next step for him is just getting his hand on the ball more often, right? Being a little bit of a playmaker. And I know the Lions system is not set up for a lot of that kind of success. Playing man-to-man coverage is not easy. I'm not expecting him to suddenly, have like a 6 interception season. I think that's setting the bar incredibly high. But like, you got to start knocking some passes down. You got to start getting getting a little more dirty in the run game. Will it happen? I don't know. I don't have any reason to doubt that it will, because he has the right kind of attitude. He has the right kind of positive attitude where like he has that gene where once a play's over, it's gone and he's on to the next one. I think he's mature enough to know how much he needs to work, how much work he needs to put in. Like, effort is never going to be a question with Terrion. I think he's a really smart guy, and I think he has most of the physical tools. So, like, there's no reason for me to doubt that'll happen. But I'll be honest, I kind of thought the same of Jeff Okudah, and I still not entirely sure why that one didn't work out. So that's just kind of like the nature of the NFL. Is like everything can look right on paper. You have the right mentality, you have the right skill set, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. So I can't like sit here and definitively say like, oh yeah, dude is going to ball out in year 2. But I think all the things are currently lined up in his favor to take a nice step here this year.
I think part of that positive swell is like his entire path to Detroit. Like there's so many offensive players that get drafted. Detroit sees an opportunity to move up and get a guy that they had no shot at getting, and you have such high expectations for him. But I think honestly, the guy that I'm really excited to see in camp is Ennis Rakestraw. I had him ranked the highest of anybody in our Detroit Lions roster rankings. I had him at 22nd. But I think part of that is informed by he was on track to be the starting nickel corner, and he was
Yep.
about to start. And I know I'm totally throwing caution to the wind and spitting in Superman's face, tugging on his cape. Sorry, rewind. Steady as a mouse. Um, the greatest ability is availability, right? And it's like Ennis Rakestraw has to go out there and be available, and that's something during the pre-draft process. Miko, he was between that first and second round grade, and the Lions end up getting him in the second round. But there were so many mock drafts going, oh yeah, Ennis Rakestraw in the first round, and then it's like injuries, maybe some like not greatest, combine testing numbers. I'm super high on Ennis. I'd like to know what you think about him.
I'm very much with the question of like where does he fit? Like that's where it all begins and ends with Ennis. Like I think he does have the physical makeup to be like a guy that can contribute on this defense, but it's like where do you put another outside corner? Because that seems to be where they want him to line up, but you just paid DJ Reed and Terrion is still on the up and up. Like, or at least we're all hoping that he's on the up and up. And so I think it kind of goes hand in hand with Terrion's year two jump. Like if Terrion is steadily improving, especially if he starts to make, if he starts making more plays in the passing game and getting, turnovers, if he starts actively being more aggressive in the run game, like that's just going to widen the gap for Ennis. And I think it may push this coaching staff to where if he is that good, if he is that important to your defense, you're going to have to get very creative on how you get him on the field because you look at those other corners, like I said, DJ Reed just got paid, and I don't think like they're going to be looking to make that a competition at all. And Amik played so well. Like I don't know how you take him off the field, no matter how good Ennis looks. Like I don't see how you do that.
They almost did though. Like, and Meek looked really good in the preseason, and Ennis was going to start over him in was it week 2 against Arizona or
Something like
week
that.
3? I can't remember.
Might have been
Week 3 was
Seattle.
Arizona.
Week 3, yeah, because
Yeah.
week 2 was Tampa.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fascinating, and ever since they came out and said like, hey, we're just going to make him focus on outside, I was just like, that's interesting. And listen, we've talked about the importance of CB3. Like if Ennis is CB3 this year, chances are pretty good he's going to make it on the field at some point, right? It's
He's
just the
gonna
nature
play.
of the position, and maybe that's I'm not saying he can Wally Pip his way into the starting lineup and suddenly be like, oh, he's better than Teron. Well, he's better than DJ Reed. I don't think that necessarily happens, but I think you still have to be open to the idea that like they're saying, hey, learn outside and corner now. Okay, you've got outside corner mastered. Next year we're gonna push you back inside and learn nickel. And now you are the young version of Amik Robertson, and you can play wherever we need you. It's just you're gonna have to be patient. You're gonna have to be patient with him, I think, because you aren't gonna get a lot of contributions. Assuming everything goes right, you're not gonna get a lot of contributions out of your second round pick in the first 2 years. You might in year 3, but the first 2 years you probably won't. So maybe some people view that as an L, but I think the Lions are probably pretty fine with it.
I think again, it goes back to what Ryan was saying in the first segment, where like it may say one thing really good about Terrion, like, hey, Terrion's playing very, very well, that he's keeping Ennis Rakestraw at bay, and it may cause some doubt or may cause some question when it comes to Ennis Rakestraw Jr. in terms of like how much longer is he just not going to be able to get on the field in a meaningful way. But at least that's not a question you have to worry about when you move to the safety group, right? Like we almost don't even necessarily have to talk about Kirby or Brian Branch in regards to what to expect out of them in camp, because I think we do expect them to continue their high level of play that they've continued. The question really goes down to like the safety 3 and safety 4 roles, if those are actually going to be positions that are going to be like very important, specifically safety 4, if that's going to be like a big, hole that the Lions are going to be trying to fill in this roster, right, Ryan?
Yeah, yeah, it's super important. But Jeremy, I, the starters are where I have all the faith,
Right.
right? And you want to knock on wood and all this stuff. You can't do any better than what Detroit has.
No, but I feel like the Lions were kind of in this hole last year, where it's just like, okay, we're doing Branch in his first year at safety. We're doing Kirby, who's coming off kind of an okay year, and no one behind him. Like Iffy, we're gonna rely on Iffy to be safety 3. and they got lucky. Like let's be honest, they got lucky. Kirby and Brian both played most of the season.
The only place on defense they got lucky, by the way.
Right,
Like we're talking
right,
about
yes.
injuries in the secondary,
Yes.
specifically at safety. The only place they got lucky.
Right. And so now you're kind of wondering, can they get lucky a second year in a row? And I do think that they probably view, why can't I think of his name? I always forget his name. The nickel slash safety from the Eagles. That's with
Avante
Avante Maddox.
Avante Maddox. I do
Or
think
Roy Lopez, which one?
How dare you? I do think he's largely considered safety 3 in Detroit right now. And then you have is Dan Jackson your 7th round pick? Is he safety 4?
Hey, according to our conversation on First Bite, Jeremy, you don't want to say no to Dan Jackson.
Right. And listen, and I think he makes the team just on special teams alone, right? Like he is a 4-core out of the box. But do you want to keep a 5th safety now? I like when I'm constructing the roster, I like to combine corners and safeties, and I don't like to go over 10 defensive backs. So if you want to start counting, so you have Terrion, DJ Reed, Amik Robertson, Ennis Rakestraw, Avante Maddox, Dorsey. Is Khalil Dorsey a lock for you guys? Khalil Dorsey?
Do you want to just jump to Branch and Joseph?
Branch and Joseph makes 7.
Yeah.
So then
I'd be comfortable with Dorsey.
I'd be comfortable with Dorsey too.
At 8, Dan Jackson makes it 9.
Okay.
Do you have a 10th with a Maurice Norris or a Lauren Strickland or an Ian Kennelly? Would you rather save
Something
that?
about that just feels greedy.
Right.
I
And
don't
Rock
know
Ya-Sin,
why.
but Rock Ya-Sin too. Do you want a veteran corner in that room too that has experience playing outside corner? Is he your 10th defensive back?
But if he is, right, that's a guy who I want to be the in case of emergency, when we all just kind of agreed that's probably going to be Ennis Rakestraw's role if he can live up to it, right?
But he has to make some progress this training camp, right? At outside corner in particular.
Yeah.
If he does, then I think that makes Rock Ya-Sin pretty expendable.
Yeah.
But you have to take that step first.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, I don't even know if I would look at Rocky Sin as I'm sorry. I don't know if I would look at Ennis Rakestraw as break glass. I think Ennis is fire extinguisher. Oh, okay, we have this that we can basically put out this, a fire if something happens where DJ Reed or Terrion misses a game. If you have to go to Rock Ya-Sin, that's a yeah, things have gone pretty bad. Break glass
It
and try
could
them
be
out
worse. Could be Kendall Vildor, and I hate piling on Kendall Vildor. Or it could be Will Harris, and I, eventually we got to a point where it's well, Will Harris is such a Swiss Army knife. We love Will Harris, even though we know it's not going to be the best, right?
Yeah, but I feel like Rocky Sin is I guess in my definition of break glass is you want to only see him in small doses. You don't want to see him out there.
Okay, I get what you
3,
mean.
4, 5
Yeah.
games, right? If
Yeah.
you got to see 3, 4, 5 games of Ennis, you'd feel
feel
great.
great.
And I think the same. Yeah, and I think the same thing is true for Avante Maddox. 3, 4, 5 games of Avante, you'd probably feel pretty okay. Again, depending on which safety he's replacing, will probably depend on how okay you feel.
Yeah, that's true.
Personally, if I have to see 3 to 4 games of Dan Jackson, I'm gonna be sweating bullets.
That's fair.
I think,
Yes.
I guess, again, if he's to Jeremy, to your point, he will absolutely carve out a role in terms of special teams. And I think in regards to maybe what he does in terms of defending the run, quality snaps. You start getting that dude to play in space. You start asking him to play single high. You ask him to play deep coverage. He just doesn't have the horses that those other 2 guys that he would be replacing have.
Yeah. Not yet. Maybe eventually. He's got some intriguing qualities to him and some really interesting tape out there in his 1 year as a starter, but I'm with you. If Dan Jackson is starting at any point in this year, it's time to hold on for dear life.
Absolutely. So with that said, guys, we have one more segment that we're going to get into on the show because we have some superlatives that we want to get into for training camp. And so we're going to jump into that next, right after this.
Look at that, making executive decisions on the run like that.
I just saw him at a peak and saw it was 8:02, and I was like, well, he did say 8.
And this
fair.
can be relatively short. I only have 4 superlatives listed there.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
guys want to like zoom through the break though?
Yeah, we can blow through this
Yeah.
break.
Okay.
I don't think there's. Let me just get through 3 alerts. Beacher, thank you for the 29 months. Says hang the air fresh. Oh wait, no, we already read that one. Nick the Greek 100 bits. Not reading that one. And Nick the Greek another 100 bits says highway to the anal zone. I'll say that one. You're welcome.
Fantastic. J Pook, tugging into the wind is not.
Did you say that one?
No, I said spitting in
spitting.
Superman's face because you don't spit in the wind and you don't tug on Superman's cape. Like that's
Oh.
If you had combined that of like you don't tug into the wind.
that's J Pook. Yeah, I said you don't spit in Superman's face, and
I mean, I
almost
wouldn't
got
do
in
that
chat.
either.
Right, I almost said like don't kink shame in chat.
Yeah, yeah. You're kink shaming by saying don't do that to Superman. Maybe Superman likes that.
We can't talk about Superman. There's too much Superman discourse going on in the world right now.
This is the most innocuous, though.
It is true.
Did either of you see that movie yet?
Not yet.
No.
I don't have any interest in it, but
I'm gonna go see it. I thought about
going to,
taking
yeah.
Teddy, but I thought it's
it's probably still too intense for him.
well, I don't think that's the case, but I think it's just like too big of an occasion to go into a movie theater with a 3-year-old. I think it's too much of a roll of the dice. Like I definitely didn't want to go on like an opening weekend,
Right.
and maybe I can sneak it in on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday matinee or something like that.
Yeah.
Where if it's bad, I can just pull the plug and I didn't spend $30 on an experience.
That's fair. All right.
Thank
That
you
can
for
be a
approving
break.
my parenting.
I just said all right. I didn't say I approve of your decisions.
Oh, retweets are not endorsements, huh? Oh, real quick though. Oh
Yeah.
no, I can't. That's a spoiler. But like the DM I sent you on Slack, Poker Face.
Oh yeah. I forgot to respond to you.
I loved
But,
all of it. It's the best. It was the best part. It was
Yeah.
fantastic.
We had lunch together, and I had seen the finale of Poker Face, and you hadn't, and it took a lot of me not to say anything because I really wanted to.
That was part of it. I was like, how did Jeremy keep it together? Because he knows that this would have been like
Yes.
the treat of all treats.
That's true.
I also called it, and Amanda was really pissed.
Really, I'm bad at that.
Yeah, I called it, and she just didn't want me to be right,
Yeah.
even though she was like, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. To bring Miko into this conversation because
I was gonna say I have no idea what this show
Yeah.
is.
most people I think don't know what Poker Face is. It's a Natasha Lyonne show. I don't need to get into it. My question was going to be, and this is delaying moving back into the third segment, but like, are you the kind of person that's good at like predicting twists or like murder mystery shows, TV, where you're like, oh, this is the guy who did it?
Or even in anime.
Yeah.
Like, they do twists in anime too. Like, that's just storytelling. So,
Yeah, I think so. Like the wife and I watched Knives Out for the first time yesterday, and like probably about halfway through that movie, I was like, "Oh, I know who did it," and then I was like, "I was right." And it was just like,
yeah.
that was, and I don't know if that's like good skills on me or just like it was just a little too obvious.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm terrible
So-
at that stuff. Like,
But you know what's really funny though? That's another Ryan Johnson. Like he executive produced Poker Face. Like he directed it, and he also directed
Oh.
Knives Out.
oh, look at that. You
Okay.
making connections there.
So maybe you just have Ryan Johnson pinned down.
Maybe
To-
I don't know. Like I'm trying to think like the last time I was like genuinely surprised, like in a movie that like had a twist that I just didn't see coming.
Get Out.
In what aspect? Like what part of that did you like was like a surprise?
The part that was surprising was how obvious it was, I think. Like
Oh, okay.
like I was expecting a big twist, but that's why the twist was so satisfying. It was like, oh no, it was this way all along. Like
Okay.
I did not necessarily know that the girlfriend was going to be in on it. Like I'm also spoiling. Get Out's been out forever.
No, I
I'm
was gonna
sorry.
say,
This
Get Out's been out
isn't a
forever.
Last of Us
Yeah, yeah.
situation. And if you haven't seen Get Out, then you're doing yourself a disservice because like it's still my favorite Jordan Peele thing. But
I saw Nope
Yeah,
for the first time like 2 weeks ago.
I haven't seen it yet.
I enjoyed it.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Worth it?
I have a screener of it, but I can't give it to you by law. It literally says it when I turn it in. Like,
Oh, I
you
can. All
can't
right.
lend this out to
I
anybody.
I don't know if it's if it's the last twist, but it's the most recent. It's the first one that came to mind, and it is an anime one, and it was like Attack on Titan, and it was like you get to a point in that one where you're like, oh, that I didn't know that this like all these events had transpired because of this.
Hmm.
Mm, okay.
Do they not
So
attack Titan? Is that the twist?
no, no, that's from Jump. That's
Okay.
episode one, first few minutes.
I'm
They
sorry.
attack Titans.
I'm sorry.
Titans attack them.
I'm probably gonna do this every time you mention anime because I'm a dick.
Oh, I can't wait till I bring up
Worst.
One Piece. You're like, did they find the One Piece yet? And it's like the answer is no. Over 1,300 episodes almost, and no, they still
Is there
haven't
a
found
second piece somewhere? Is that season 2?
it. Oh man.
Beyond Dragon Ball, does it go Dragon Ball ZZ or does it go Dragon Ball AA? Does it
It's like a vending machine?
What's the sequel?
Dragon Ball Y? What happened there?
Yeah. Well, I need to know what happened in the first like 23 parts.
That is like I'm very interested. I don't know. I've never like bothered to look. That show went from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, and it's like, hey, what happened to A through Y?
What does the Z stand for?
Dragon
clue.
Balls.
What are you trying to do here? What are you...
Well, you have to collect all the Dragon Balls.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, it's plural.
Laura Schlitt, by the way, like dominating our chat right now.
What, calling us turds?
Yeah. She's like that.
At least I know. She said two, so I know which two she's talking about. I'm just glad I'm not. I'm too new to be included in that insult.
It's true.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah. Let's jump into
Yeah.
segment 3.
Hold on, sorry. Just read Pink Apple's comment. Dragon Ball AA would be sad. It would be sad.
Why would it be sad?
Alcoholics Anonymous.
Oh.
All right, all right. It's more of a drama.
Welcome back to Pride of Detroit POD cast. We are sliding into segment 3. It's been a while since I think you guys have had 3 segments on a podcast, so it's
Love
nice
it.
that it's for us to have one that's specifically built around training camp because there is, like I said, so much information to talk about. So we're gonna go through a couple superlatives and again, probably not gonna be a long segment, but let's kind of just like blaze through it as fast as we can. Jeremy, I'm gonna start with you. Player you're most excited to see at camp.
I'm gonna cheat a little bit on this one because we've already talked about a couple of them. Like Geo is probably really high on my list. I would say Terrion is probably pretty high on my list. But I'm kind of gonna shoehorn something that I wanted to talk about anyways. And Jahmyr Gibbs at his youth camp saying they're gonna line me up outside more this year. Oh boy, I need to see it. I need to see it, Ryan. We might be getting it. We might finally be getting some 2 running back sets with Jahmyr Gibbs out wide. And if that's the case, I'm going to be grinning from ear to ear from now until week 1. And hopefully it continues into actually seeing it in the regular season because this has been a dream of mine, really going back like 2 or 3 different running back sets. Like not just like Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. Like take me back to Reggie Bush and whoever was RB2. Like I was asking for some RB2 sets back then. Give me some RB2 sets.
Amir Abdullah is still in the league, so I think that they could still put him on the roster if if they really want to bring that full circle for you. I mean, it's super exciting. Like that's something that we talk about the room for Jahmyr Gibbs to grow, and it's like, what can he really grow into? He's already an incredible football player, but the receiving aspect, specifically as a receiver lined up as one, is that would be a pretty exciting wrinkle to an offense that, in the very first segment, I was like, well, you got to adapt. You got to be innovative. Like if that's, if that's John Morton's swing to be innovative, like put me in, man. Like, let's go.
Get that 1,000 season.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm as high as you, Jeremy, in the belief that we'll see two back sets, but the idea of seeing Jameer just more involved in the passing game, like I think that would heavily lean into what we've heard Dan Campbell, John Morton, and others talk about this offseason of like, hey, you want to get your playmakers more involved. And I think when you talk about like there's only a few other names that probably come to mind where you're like, hey, that guy needs to touch the football even more than he already does. And so for me personally, I think the guy that I'm probably most excited for is JMO, and it's right there, kind of in the same vein where it's like the hype has been so real throughout OTAs. I want to see it once like once the physicality starts to ramp up, right? Once we start to get into the parts where they have pads on it and he's being jammed at the line, like can he still be just as explosive? Can he still be just as dominant? And is that hype continuing to ride all the way through training camp, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, you're speaking my language when you're talking about the player you're most excited to see at camp is Jameson Williams. And it's funny how like that has been the player I think most people have been excited to see like last season and then in 2023. Like everybody's
Yeah.
been excited to see Jameson Williams, but it keeps the goalposts keep getting moved for JMO in a good way, right? It's like, okay,
Hmm.
like 1,000 yard season now. Like, where do you go from here? And you hear all, like you said, Nico, you hear the coaches talk about him. You hear, his peers, right? You hear what Amon-Ra St. Brown has to say about him and Jared Goff, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, sounds like this guy's on the track to be even better than he was a year ago, and that was pretty damn good. The player I'm most excited to see at camp, I kind of hinted to it, but like this is my dark horse. Like I'm super excited to see Ennis Rakestraw. Like I know him being an outside corner is something that people weren't really expecting, but I'm all for him being the cornerback depth that this team will undeniably need at some point, and that's a point that we've talked about quite a bit. Jeremy, I just want to see the guy stay on the field, be healthy, and there's a reason they were thrilled to get him in the second round.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, it feels like an extra second round pick, right? Like
Yeah.
a present under the box from the draft in 2024 that we still haven't opened. And yeah, that's exciting to have. Even if there isn't a role carved out right away, like I said, if that role is waiting for him in 2026, like that's fine.
Yeah, that's still year three of his rookie deal,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah, having quality depth is never something to scoff at or ever, anything to, not take or to take for granted. With that said, Ryan, how about you let us know one player that you think will be most improved throughout training camp this year?
it's cheating to say JMO. Um, I think the player that'll be most improved, I'm gonna steal Jeremy's son. I'm gonna say it's Geo.
You son
Like
of a.
I think to Jeremy's point though, the way that you heard everybody in the organization talk about him, you see the blueprint and you see the raw. I mean, the massive frame. You see all of it, and now I just want to see it on the field.
Yeah.
Like you saw it a little bit in training camp last year, and you saw it a little bit in the preseason. And it's like, oh, this is really going to be a work in progress. But Jeremy, the way they were talking about him, dare I say, the momentum going into the season, Gio could be that guy where it's
night
like,
night and
yeah,
day from the
hmm
beginning of last season to the end of last season. He's out there working with Taylor Decker in the offseason. I'm buying in. I'm buying in. I'll give a different answer just because who wants to hear me talk about Giovanni Manu for another 15 minutes straight? Um, and the interesting thing is, I feel like there are a lot of candidates because now the way the Lions roster is working is you have all of these draft picks that don't play in their rookie season anymore, right? Like they're sitting on the bench, they're
Hmm.
marinating. Sometimes they're marinating for a couple of years, and so like I'd love to be able to sit here and say, I think maybe we see Broderick Martin, maybe we see. Um, I'm not predicting Broderick Martin to be clear.
okay, all
Oh,
right, all right, all right,
Um,
gotcha.
I'm saying I'd love to be able to say that, or even Colby Sorsdal. Like those are guys that are at least in this category of could, but I kind of view them as guys that have to. Like if they don't, they're off the roster.
Hmm.
To make it a lot easier, and we already talked about this guy a lot. I think it could be Terrion, and we saw a significant amount of development last season. Like
Yeah,
Miko said earlier in the show, like he got all of those opportunities to get better. He had all of the reps to get better. And so like he is starting in a far different place than where he was at this point last year, where, he only had the offseason to prepare for the combine and he was dealing with a little bit. And so, yeah, I think Terrion could really start with kind of like a head start. I think he's going to be much better from the get-go. I think it'll be nice to have another veteran next to him in DJ Reed. Not that he had one last year too, but having another mind with a different perspective is always good. So this is a little bit more hope than maybe think, but I think all things are set up for Terrion to take a pretty big year 2 jump as well.
Yeah, and I think Tyrion falls in that same category as Gio does when Ryan talks about somebody that the coaching staff was talking about. Hey, like beginning of the season looked one way, by the end of the season
Yeah.
looked so much better. I think Tyrion has that very same arc where early half of that season looked a little choppy, right? A lot of penalties, a lot of struggles in terms of just staying in phase and not being overly handsy. And then by the end of that season was like really starting to come into form and really starting to showcase the abilities, Ryan, that made him like a top corner in that draft class with like his technique and his ability to be sticky in coverage.
Yeah, I'm excited. Who's your name?
I'm gonna go with Christian Mahogany, and I think it's probably cheating because Christian Mahogany didn't get to really contribute a lot in training camp last year. But we talk so much about him
I
being,
kind of forgot about
whether it's
that.
a front runner or
Yeah,
just, I was gonna say, whether it's him being a front runner or just like competing for a starting spot, like I think he has a chance to really improve from what we saw, the glimpses that we saw in the regular season, and showcase like, no, I can be this dominant player week in and week out for you, and start this, this youth movement for our offensive line going forward. They like, hey, you can trust me on a week in, week out basis to be this gritty, nasty dude in the interior of your offensive line.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like part of me wanted real quick. Part of me wanted to say a guy like Makai Wingo. Like I would love for him to show up and be the player most improved, but he's coming back from an injury,
Yeah, we're not even.
and
He could start on pup, and it could just be like one of those 1 week pups, but
yeah.
we're still
So
not
it's hard to pick one of those guys. But then Chris Mahogany, you think about like not having an off season opportunity to really train and get better on the
Yeah,
field in Allen Park, Jeremy. Now he has all of it, and he has a lot of confidence too, right? Like,
yeah. That's the point that I was going to bring up because I'd completely forgot that we saw Christian Mahogany last year without any training camp, right? Like he missed all of training camp. He was in the spring practices, but that's 5 practices or so and not padded or anything like that. So it will be interesting to see what Christian Mahogany looks like as a presumed week 1 starter with an entire full ramp up at his disposal.
mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the other great parts of training camp in comparison to like OTAs is that like look, we know pads go on. They're going to be padded practices, and that's where the intensity wraps up. And while you can't do like straight one-on-ones in certain situations anymore, in training camp, it's still you still want to focus in on certain matchups. Jeremy, is there a matchup that you already kind of have circled that you're like, hey, I can't wait to see these two players square off and see who comes out on top?
Don't steal mine.
I might. No, because you already said I'm going to pull Giovanni Manu back into the conversation here.
Okay, go ahead.
Giovanni Manu versus Ahmed Hassanin.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if those two are actually going to line up for one-on-one reps. They could. I think it could make theoretical sense. I don't know if Hassanin can work his way that high into the rotation, but I mean that's everything that I want. Like two players that I think there's just an endless amount of fascination for. Certainly a good test for someone like Hassanin to just handle someone that huge, and also a good test for Gio to have someone as relentless as that. Like I think they are really interesting challenges for each other, let alone two guys that I'm just really fascinating where they fit in the long-term picture. So like I'm really hoping we get some one-on-one reps between those two because it's just gonna be. I'm gonna take a note on every single one that they face.
That's
That's
a really good pick.
yeah, that's super interesting. Like you just think about two guys, athleticism off the charts, but is the technique all there, right?
Right.
So I mean, might look like two crash test dummies just going at one another.
That's a really good point. Yes.
My one-on-one matchup, and I hope I don't steal yours, Miko, but I mean, I want to see Tyleik Williams against Tate Ratledge. Like that would provide,
Yeah.
or if I want to cheat, like DJ Reader, like a savvy veteran
Yeah.
lined up over the nose, and going head up against a rookie who's, for all intents and purposes, learning a brand new position at the NFL. So like Tate Ratledge against either one of those guys, I think is, can you get better reps as a rookie center? I don't know.
I'm gonna cheat here a little bit since Ryan got to cheat and got to pick basically two players.
We make
Uh,
the rules.
I want to say Jack Campbell versus whoever. Like, I don't care if it's running back, I don't care if it's tight end. Like, I want to see one of the things that I really loved about Jack when he got drafted was like the potential that he showed in coverage. And I think he's slowly been getting better, but seeing him being able to line up against Sam Laporta, seeing him being able to line up against Jameer Gibbs or David Montgomery or Craig Reynolds, whoever he's being lined up against, like I want to see Jack Campbell operate better in space because I think that's the thing that's really going to help his trajectory into being seen like universally as one of the better linebackers in the NFL. Like he's definitely established himself in terms of leadership skills. He's definitely developing very well when it comes down to stopping the run. The next piece in the puzzle, Ryan, is coverage. Like, can you go out there and take on some of these more talented, skill position players? And when you have two of the best at their respective positions, when you talk about tight end and running back, this could be a really good opportunity for Jack to really kind of showcase some growth.
And this might be the spot too where you see that year three, the game's getting slower for him. I feel like that lends itself best to a player like a linebacker specifically, their ability to do multiple things. Like we feel really comfortable about Jack as a run defender, but it feels like the coverage stuff is something like you really have to work on anticipation
Hmm.
and footwork and technique. And like I think there's so much more into it, and that's why you see a guy like Malcolm Rodriguez have his ceiling versus a guy like Jack Campbell. Miko, you said coming out of Iowa, it's like, well, you saw the tape, you saw the flashes. We've seen it a little bit in the NFL. We've seen him make really good plays on passes. So I think that's a really good one to keep in mind, especially if, I mean, they're going to start splitting Jameer Gibbs out wide.
Right.
Maybe Jack Campbell might have to go out on an island,
Yeah.
and that's not fair to Jack.
No, it's interesting because like when they do one-on-one drills, like pretty much all of the attention goes into two places. You're either watching offensive line versus defensive line, or you're watching wide receivers versus corners. Like those are the premier. I need to watch these reps. But on the other side of the field, there's running backs and tight ends versus linebackers, and that's kind of an underrated matchup to see sometimes. And what's fascinating about it to me is they run two different kind of drills. One heavily favors the running back, one heavily favors the linebacker. Pass protection, which is heavily in favor of the linebackers who are bigger and not faster, but like bigger and stronger. And then they have them go run routes, which is heavily favors the running backs. And so I think I'd like to see Jack Campbell succeed in, I mean, obviously I'd like to see Jack Campbell succeed in both, but like I'd like to see a little bit more pass rush on his plate too, because that's something that I think he has the athleticism, he has the tenacity that's something he can do a little bit more of this year. And then, I mean, what better guy to run reps against than a guy like Jameer Gibbs? Like that's not going to be an easy cover, but that's something that the Lions obviously need to improve upon from last year where running backs were just torching them in the passing game.
Hello, Ty Johnson, Buffalo Bills.
Former Detroit Lion.
That was a rough.
And now you made us sad.
Turner. Thanks, Miko.
All right, well, look, let's get back on the happy train. All right, let's talk training camp darlings. All right, Ryan, who do you have as your training camp darling prediction for this year?
The obvious answer is Isaac Tesla. The answer that I'm choosing is Grant Stewart. Like I'm all in. I think that he's just like Detroit football personified under Dan Campbell, and I think he's going to have so many opportunities to pop. I would not want to be one of those running backs who has to be in the pass protection drill against Grant Stewart.
Yeah.
And I think that he's just a guy that when you have him on the second team or the third team, he's gonna pop.
Yeah.
He's gonna pop. So he's a guy to me that I think will end up being a camp darling, and maybe people feel a lot more comfortable about being without Malcolm Rodriguez for the first half of the season.
I think those high intensity, high motor guys tend to show up really well in the preseason and in training camp. So, I think I'm not going to pick Ahmed Hassanin, but like Hassanin to me is like another one right in that category, right? My pick is actually, I think we're going to go Sione Vaki because I feel like he could get a big role in the preseason as, RB5 or RB4 behind Craig Reynolds early in the game. Like I think you probably give the second half to the two UDFAs, but I think Vaki is probably going to take a step on offense, and he's good as a receiver. And listen, he popped in last preseason too, right? A little bit. I think that's only going to look better this season. I think there's going to be a lot of pushing from Lions fans who see that, say, hey, this guy has to be our RB3, and maybe he earns it. But yeah, no, I think Vaki, you got to go with the skill position players sometimes with these because they rack up the stats in the preseason and people get all excited about it.
I think it's funny that you say that because I'm also not gonna go Hassani because to me, like I think that's the easy answer. Like
Right.
that's I think everyone has been on that since the draft. For me, I'm gonna go Tate Ratledge though. Like maybe it's the recent photo of him catching a shark that I'm just like I think the media is just going to like eat Tate up. But I also go back to like a lot of his pre-draft interviews and I think if he's going to get those reps at center, I think he's going to get a lot much more exposure. And I think there's going to be a lot of seeing like why the Lions want him to have that role. Like I think it goes beyond just the fact that he's an offensive lineman. I think it goes to some of the leadership skills, some of his character. And I think the more Lions fans get to see that from him, I think the more that they're just going to fall in love with him as a future starter, hopefully on this interior offensive line.
Dang, none of us picked a wide receiver. I feel like it's always a wide receiver. No Jackson
Well,
Meeks fans.
listen, we said it at the top when we talked wide receiver. Like it's the first five are set. Like
Yeah.
everybody else, it's like, hey, no
But
disrespect, thanks for coming.
but training camp darling is all about the guy who like is way overhyped and like won't make the team. He'll make the practice squad, right?
Chase Billingsley,
Jace Billingsley is the perfect example.
Jay Lee. A lot of them are wide
Well,
receivers.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like the actual starters, like your top three, just like or the top two dominate headlines.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
no one's
All
JMO
right.
and Saint are just like everyone's favorites.
I just want to go on the record then, and I'll just say Dominic Lovett. There we go. We can move on now.
I was gonna say like let's just say it's because Kyle Allen is gonna be throwing them the football and that's why none of us picked a wide receiver.
Oh,
Yes, Kyle Allen.
no one said Jake Bates, training camp darling.
No, that's where he
A
doesn't
training
shine.
camp, a training camp to prove Jeremy wrong.
We didn't get a chance to talk about,
Special teams.
yeah, shocker.
I wonder why that is. I
Zero
wonder who came
battles.
up with this rundown.
There's
Zero
What do
battles.
you want to talk about?
Zero battles. That's a step in the right direction for the Jake Bates narrative.
Sure.
Facts.
Well, I mean, there was never a question Jake Bates wasn't going to be the starter of the team this year.
For sure.
No, you just question his ability to play well.
I just didn't
In
place
camp.
him in the top 20 like some psychopaths on our top 90 list.
Hey, no need to get a name call like here.
Sorry, Hamza.
Oh, and we're gonna call him out by name. All right, good. Well, guys, that's pretty much gonna do it for this week's Pride of Detroit POD cast. Just a couple announcements for you guys. Midweek mailbag will actually be recording Wednesday night, most likely. So normally it's Wednesday afternoons, but due to some scheduling things, you can catch Eric and Jeremy, doing their thing on Wednesday night. Also, a reminder that with training camp starting, there will be daily training camp recaps, but this is specifically coming to Pride of Detroit direct subscribers, and this will be starting on Sunday. So if you do want to, get these extra snippets of content that come directly from Jeremy and Eric right after these practices, you want to head over to prideofdetroit.com/subscribe. You can get your access there. Jeremy, it's still $50 for the year, right?
That's right. Yep. Just $50 for a year. So whatever that comes out to a month, less a little bit over $4 a month. It's way cheaper than your Netflixes.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're someone like me that loves to get as much information as you possibly can, and you're not on the Pride of Detroit staff and you can't just DM Jeremy, easily and get all the inside information, you definitely want to, have the subscription. So, definitely make sure to do that. Also, with this being a podcast, for those of you who would like to enjoy the video version of what we do over here and be able to catch some of the stuff that we do during breaks. Like I said at the top of this podcast, you can always do that going over to twitch.tv.pride or slash Pride of Detroit, or you can go over to youtube.com slash Pride of Detroit as well. That'll make it easy for you guys to kind of watch this content. And I said it last week, I'm going to continue to say it every week. Please make sure you go over to prideofdetroit.com, support our writers, all the great content that they're putting out, training camp previews, roster previews, just their opinions on players and the season. Like, there's so much effort that goes into that, and we would really appreciate your support over there as well. So with all that said, I'm Miko, he's Jeremy, he's Ryan. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch or listen, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Nice. You can hit the stop record on your end as well, unless you want whatever we're going to say in the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
No, I'm glad you reminded me because I completely forgot I was recording.
Recording stopped.
There you go. I hit the stop on my end, and it didn't make that noise, so it was sad. Usually when I hit the stop, I get the lady voice.
Yeah. So soothing.
Thanks to everyone who's saying nice things about PODD in the chat. I'm sorry that I feel like I've been the least active at Pride of Detroit Direct I've ever been these past week or two, but I think I'm going to have something maybe tomorrow, and then, yeah, we'll do our training camp daily vids starting Sunday, assuming there's something to talk about on Sunday, because, like, Pride training camp is, like, a real ramp-up period, and they start with, like, it might just be an hour practice, or, like, 90-minute practice, and no pads.
Oh, so no pads on day one?
Nope, no.
Fresh out the gates.
He's not allowed to. If Dan Campbell could put pads on in day one, he probably would. Nah, I think he understands it's a ramp up. So
I have to admit, I have heard, and I get it, he's a 7th-round pick. I have heard so little about Dominic Lovett that I honestly forget that the Lions drafted him.
I mean, I think they probably do keep 6 receivers, and he'd have to be considered the favorite just like mathematically.
Yeah.
Unless you're high on the Michigan guy.
Oh,
the free agent ad. What's his name? Ronnie Bell.
Yeah. I just, like, every time when I do think of him, I'm just like, I don't, like, where is he playing? Like, what role is he serving for your offense?
Gunner? Like, on offense, nothing. I think he wins a spot with Gunner. Like, if he can be the Gunner opposite Khalil Dorsey.
Because he was absolute freaking money at Georgia. Like, their punt coverage was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to think, because, like, we talked about this with linebackers and even, like, with safeties as well. Like, whether it's Dan Jackson or all these different linebackers, like, so many of them are good at special teams. Like,
yeah.
Everybody can't carve out a role on special teams.
Right.
There's only so many spots.
It's true. The other thing too, and I hate to see the end, and I'm not trying to claim that it is, but, like, Khalif Raymond's 31.
Yeah.
I do think this would be a nice time to start prepping for one. Like, I know he didn't do it at Georgia.
And I think that's Dominic Lovett, yeah.
Yeah, like, I know he didn't do it at Georgia, but, like, hell, this is the perfect time to test it with somebody. Like, you have no other expectations, like you said, other than for maybe him to play gunner. Bro, we're going to just see if you can field some punts.
Yeah.
And see if we can get you really good at this as a skill set. Or kicks, yeah.
Gonna be a lot more kick returns this year.
Sione Vaki? Kick return?
He was in the mix last year.
I'd be fine with it. He can't be any worse than who else? There was someone else that was returning kicks last year that just, like, it was not great.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you remember the brief Donovan Peoples-Jones experience, because it looked like the controller got unplugged or the batteries died.
Man, that was rough.
But, like, the fall off from Khalif to, like, and it's like, it's such an underrated thing. And I talk about this every single year because I just appreciate the hell out of Khalif Raymond for just being here from the beginning, right? 2021 stepped up in a way that there was no way you ever would have thought that guy would still be here in 2025.
I'll never forget that, like, PFF had him way above everyone else in separation, in, like, the separation grade.
Right? Yeah, like his ability to create separation.
I'm like, is Khalif Raymond the best receiver on the team right now?
In the NFL?
In the NFL?
Does he just need the right situation? But, like, his like that's I talk about it every year with like the punt return game and like his ability. I love the bait and switch. I love the I run over here because you think the ball like I'm the returner and I'm gonna get it and it goes
Yeah.
the other side of the field.
Yeah.
Like I love that stuff and like not everybody can do that or have the confidence to do that. And like I love Khalif. He's awesome, but like I also love the idea of getting Dominic Lovett in the situation.
Yeah. I do wonder what the future is with Khalif because I mean he was an All Pro last year. He was a second team All Pro like 2 years ago.
Gosh,
Are you going to re-sign him?
the punt return versus the Jets in 2022?
What a game.
Speaking of all pros, I was so tempted to say when we were talking about who will improve the most, I was so tempted to say Brian Branch. And I was like, I'll save that for once we get to like talking about the regular season.
Oh man, yeah. Good. I mean, year 2.
No Brock Wright love, like almost all show long.
I don't like. I feel like Brock is like it's kind of similar to Khalif, where it's like it's not that you forget about Khalif, but it's like once he like makes a play here and there, you're like, oh yeah, it's really nice that we have him.
Yeah, and he's never usually like screwing up.
He's
You know what I mean?
But he's also
Yeah.
just kind of like fine, and we fought for him over the 49. It's just like, would it have mattered if we didn't win that fight?
Okay, I think
the
the thing
49ers.
I think the thing that's super funny though is like Jared Goff just welcomed his first child into the world.
Yeah.
And like I feel like not like within the past 72 hours, he had an Instagram story and it was a picture of Brock Wright.
I saw that too, which I thought, like it was a post from the Lions. Like the Lions are just like posting
Yeah.
some photography from their media days in the off season now. But
it's
all the
Brock
ones for
Wright.
Jared Goff to like repost on his Instagram. Okay.
Big
Brock Wright.
season. Big season incoming.
Honestly, I had the exact same like. I'm like, is there like a buddy situation I don't know about here?
Yeah.
Which I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I think in general, quarterbacks and tight end rooms tend to be pretty tight, and they're literally pretty close to each other in the locker room as well. So
Well, that's why like to like slightly switch gears of like all the things that they did in season 2 of quarterback, like the whole like Jared and Amon Ra going out to dinner together. I was like, I somehow feel like that's forced. Like I
it
feel like if
looked
Jared could take
absolutely forced. Absolute, which is weird because like you'd figure Goff and St. Brown are pretty close, and they probably are. But it just
Yeah.
like something about the vibes of that conversation felt like we need to get St. Brown into this.
Yeah. It so like to piggyback off of like the whole Brock Wright thing, like it's just like that probably is the person that Jared probably hangs out with like on
Yeah.
a regular basis just to like chill.
Yeah. And
Ryan, you're talking
like
about
special
Jerome.
teams too, honestly, and that is also a proximity thing because quarterbacks are literally right next to special teamers.
Yeah.
But I don't want. Well, I have thoughts on why that might be, but I don't really want to say them out loud.
Oh, why like tight ends and quarterbacks are yeah.
And specialists. There might be like a running theme between those positions. Would you order there?
BLT pita for my wife.
What about for yourself?
The Irish hash. I really wanted breakfast food because my wife was like, "Do you want to stop at Jimmy John's?" I was like, "Oh, I'm not feeling Jimmy John's." Like, I just went on a trip where we ate a bunch of processed deli meat, like for as we were stopping on like hikes and bike rides and down at the beach and stuff. So I was like, I just want like breakfast food. Didn't have a chance to have breakfast food over the past few days, but Irish hash. I'm all
What
over
does
it.
that include? What makes it Irish? Corned beef?
I think it's just like the massive amounts of potatoes, isn't it?
I
What?
don't know. What makes an Irish
Oh,
hash
for
an
that.
Irish hash?
I'm sorry. You guys like cut out.
Yeah, you're slow.
Oh, am I slow?
Yeah, that's fine. I can hear you now.
The corned beef.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, corned beef, but it's like corned beef and mushrooms and onions and I go scrambled eggs, but it also has hash browns in it. So potatoes. Yeah,
That's solid.
I'll send pics.
We're back on food.
I gotta figure out what I'm gonna eat. I
All
actually ate dinner like
humans
earlier
eat.
than normal.
All humans eat.
What did you have, Miko?
So Khalil and I like went to Sam's the other day, and so I got like this lobster filled cod that they have there. It was really good.
Talk my language. Seafood, anything.
Yeah, so I had like it was a pretty like bland. It was like lunch, but it was also like she was making it for dinner because she had to take the girls to dance. And so she had like salmon filled or yeah, lobster filled salmon. I had cod with like just like white rice. And so yeah, probably gonna throw another one of those in the oven. Go back for round two.
It's a good idea. Second dinner. Always love second dinner.
Can't go wrong.
We
I need
just
first
really
dinner.
have to. Well, we just got to really figure it out until Saturday, and then we just get to gorge ourselves at the Schlitt House.
I don't know if you saw,
Is it
but
bad that like I'm getting to the point that I'm like expecting steak? Like
I it is because that's not what we're getting.
oh man.
Laura broke the news of what we're getting on Saturday in our Twitch chat.
I missed it.
Oh no.
Are you gonna make me scroll?
I don't know. Do you want me to tell you? Chad
Yeah,
might
so I
be
don't
able
have
to
to
tell
scroll.
I'm wondering if you want it to be a surprise.
Oh
Nah.
man, I
You're in?
I search functioned it and I found it.
How did you search it?
Just Command F and it brings up all the
But what,
Things
you
in the
just
chat.
you just searched Laura's name.
yeah.
We do like a pre-season Pride of Detroit get together right before the start of training camp.
Before it gets way too busy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Miko.
now
Okay.
she's in the chat again. Laura, have you done this before? I'm not doubting your abilities. I'm just curious.
And also, are you gonna
Yeah.
have your famous pasta salad?
I feel like
It's a
I
seafood.
feel like
boil.
the first one I was at, she had mentioned that she had done a seafood boil before, and it turned
Okay.
out better than. But I think this will be the first time she's done it, or at least, well, definitely for me.
Seafood boil is. I've only had it a couple times, but it's fantastic. Did we talk? I feel like we talked about this recently,
did.
and I talked about like how I'm scared of eating crawfish.
It was
Yeah.
when I brought up Red Lobster, and Miko was like,
Oh,
they
that's
do that
right.
now, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, since Laura's in the chat, I hate to be like, I'm curious, like, what can we expect in the boil? Like, I don't need like a full rundown, but is it just like,
Well, I also I just said I wanted her pasta salad, and she says if you want it, Ryan, I'll make it for sure. But I don't want to be the only one, so you guys have to say you want it too now.
I don't like pasta salad. I don't like cold pasta.
Okay. Well, like when you vote for candidates, like you're not going to get everything you want.
You're asking me to advocate for something I don't want.
Make concessions for those people who matter to you, Jeremy.
She already said she'd make it if you want it. So what am I even doing here?
I just don't want to
Well,
feel
'cause
like
you know, like, 'cause
I'm just trying to
I'm
lift the
making her
guilt
make
off of
pasta-
you.
No,
I
you're
know, but
putting
you know,
it
like
on
Laura's
me.
not gonna make like an individual amount just for Ryan. Like,
Yeah, that
she's gonna
sounds
make a
right.
lot of it, and then Ryan's gonna be stuck taking it all home.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
great.
but-
He wants it, so how's that a problem?
Yes, the verb stuck is the wrong word choice.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like you're just gonna feel bad, like, oh, she made this, and now I'm also the one who also has to, you know.
Oh,
By the way,
did you see what Laura said?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm in.
yeah.
Is it Saturday yet?
Every day should be Saturday.
It's a great phrase. Should make a website out of it.
I'll get right on it.
Easiest way to resubscribe. So I believe Pride Detroit Direct will auto renew. If you don't do anything, just make sure that your credit card information is up to date so it doesn't not go through. I believe you get like a month before your Pride Detroit Direct subscription runs out, you get a notice like, hey, it's going to auto renew on this date, so be aware. But if you like if you'd used a coupon code or something, or you'd gotten 6 months free or a full year free, I'm not sure how to go about it. I would say so. The best thing you can do, because I don't have access to like subscription information. There is. Let me make sure I get the email address right. If you're a Pride of Detroit Direct subscriber, you want to know that information, and you don't have when you expire, anything like that. There is an email support. There's a support email. I think it's newsletter support at sbnation.com. Very easy to remember. Newsletter support at sbnation.com. If you want to know, like, hey, I don't know what credit card you guys have on file, I don't know when my sub renews, email them. Newsletter support at sbnation.com. They'll help you out.
There you go. I'm gonna go get Irish hash and a BLT pita.
All right. I think that means it's time to go, y'all. We'll be back tomorrow night. Me and Eric, midweek mailbag. And then we'll probably be back on Mondays. We'll be able to talk about 2 training camp practices in the books next time we're live, all 3 of us.
Real quick, do you guys think the offense is going to be making the defense look bad, or the defense is going to be making the offense look bad?
Both. Everyone's going to make each other look good.
Best shape of their lives.
Best shape of their lives. Sorry.
Everybody just be healthy. That's like
True.
just can we just make it to this regular season and everyone's healthy?
I'd prefer even beyond the regular season. Make it to the postseason healthy.
Division round
Seriously.
healthy. That'd be great.
All right, y'all.